Good morning and you're welcome to the Key Points. My name is Jifa Bampo. And it's been another news week of heat, controversy and battle lines drawn. It's my pleasure to welcome you once again to another edition of the Key Points today, October 2021. Now, we have been looking at a lot of news this week. The excitement and anguish of MMDCE approval processes are still with us, but that has been eclipsed by the angst of law students who could not make it into the premier and only professional training facility in Ghana. Now, a demonstration is in the offing. Now, there's also been some finger pointing at the Board for Legal Education and the General Legal Counsel for what may seem like an amendment to have the rules achieve a particular result. Also, the proponents for and against the Promotion of Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill 2021 remain entrenched in position relating to protecting minority rights for people who identify as LGBTQ+. As Ghana is not a theocracy but a secular state, is there any middle ground that does not project the country as a haven for hate-mongering and intolerance, as a recent CNN report points to? So certainly a hot and packed show ahead, so do please stay with us. But just to let you know that we are live on TV3 90 and also on 3FM 92.7, as well as live around the world at 3news.com. You can also join us via our Facebook page at TV3 Ghana. And between now and 10 a.m., I look forward to hearing from you via our WhatsApp platform. And the number is 055-369-8789. And you can tweet at TV3_Ghana, also at 3FM 92.7. You can also tweet at me, Beho Bampo. Message us on Facebook as well. So you can join in the conversation. And don't forget to use the hashtag the Key Points. We take a quick break and we'll be right back.
The time to discover the music icon with the X Factor, the global superstar. Out of hundreds of potential talent, from Tamale to Kumasi to Takrady and Accra, it is time to discover the next global icon on Intersex.
Tonight, 16 contestants out of the 34 will make it into the live shows.
Join us this and every Sunday at 8 p.m. on TV3 to cheer them on till the end on Intersex. Intersex, discovering the next global star.
Intersex is brought to you by Heaven Black Mosquito Coil, an insecticide spray, and Upper Foods, Sense Body Spray.
It's about to get more sporty, with a touch of super entertainment with your favorite stars.
Times we played the quitting, get the chaskele, the football.
Who should I take? Tony Cruz?
Cruz?
Why?
While keeping you up to date with every trending issue in your world of sports on Warmer Plus.
But in comes Thomas Tuchel and everything changes.
And when he said he wanted to be better than me, I was happy.
Let's keep it more sporty and super entertaining every Saturday on Warmer Plus, right here on TV3.
This Saturday on Celebrity Fun Time.
You are welcome once again. This is Celebrity Fun Time, the only game show that makes all other game shows look bad, look boring, look and cool. But I had the Philly act game show. Hey, guy, yes. Three GY.
3GY. 3GY. Who is Y? 3GY. 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 You're supposed to be here.
Celebrity Fun Time this Saturday, 5 p.m. on TV3. Betway.
Music is that one thing that you didn't know you needed, but you have. Are you ready? Let go! Everybody put your hands in the air. The house party! Soothing music. Electrifying performances. Worthwhile interviews.
Sometimes we do songs in 3 months, 4 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
What? The best of the best. This year, where the party day today. Music. It's big.
Music shows every Saturday at 8 p.m. on TV3. Don't miss it.
It's another weekend to enjoy your TV3. Let's start off early this Friday on Showbiz 360 with the hysterical Giovanni Caleb. Saturday morning, it's all sporty and fun on Warmer Plus. The ladies will take you to the next level on Ladies Circle. And on Saturday night, we're jamming with the original King Yusoba. Finally, on Sunday, TV3 Mentor returns. It's the first episode of Intersex, and it's big. Keep watching TV3, first in news, best in entertainment.
Help me welcome the talented, the anointed, the inspired, the one and the only Dinah Hamilton.
I was born with the talent, but with a calling, allow me to use that to advise any parent out there that it's okay to let your children see your vulnerability in the presence of God.
Yes.
I used to run a kids salon and a drop-off center, but then obviously COVID hit hard and it kind of made it difficult to manage the business, so eventually I had to close down.
What are your hobbies?
I love to cook. I love to watch movies. Okay. And my favorite is all the rom-coms.
The which coms?
Romantic comedies.
Today's Woman shows Sundays at 3 p.m. and repeat Wednesdays at 3 p.m. on TV3.
You're welcome back to the key points here on TV3 and 3FM. Now, it's been just past some 2 years since there was a public outcry over a 90% failure of students who tried to get into the law school. In 2020, there was some improvement, but for 2021, not so much. That's not the real problem, really. It's now emerging that out of the students who failed this year's exam, some 2,000 of them, a number of them are deemed not to have failed. Some 790 are deemed to have passed, but did not get into the law school. It also follows a publication of the scores after an RTI request was also put forward. Apparently, the rules of the exam had changed, and it was a decision that decided that you needed to get 50% on both papers in order to get into the Ghana Law School. Now, administrators of the exam are being accused of bad faith because it seemed the rules may have been changed to achieve a certain outcome. Now, NUGS is demanding the intervention of Parliament, whilst the students at the law school themselves are planning a demonstration. The director of the Ghana School of Law, Mr. Prempe Ek, in a statement, asked that the results be accepted in good faith and that those who are eligible will be considered for 2022. But really, is that the solution? It's the whole brouhaha about reform and legal education and providing improved access. Our guest this morning, to my immediate left, is the Honorable Joseph Kpemka, former Attorney General and former MP. Good morning, and thank you for joining us, sir.
Good morning.
Great.
Former Deputy Attorney General.
Former Deputy Attorney General, sorry, I beg your pardon. Yeah. And then also welcoming Wanda Victor Kuto, who is the SRC President for the Ghana School of Law. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. But first, let's hear some of the sentiments of the students. And they had a press conference during the week. Let's hear Julius Anthony.
The actions of the General Legal Counsel thus far betrays the fact that there is a deliberate attempt to shut the doors of legal education to some students regardless of the grades they have made. It brings the entire examination and its essence into disrepute and makes one wonder if the failure rates recorded in the past years are truly germane. We demand the following remedies from the General Legal Counsel. 1, the General Legal Counsel should, as a matter of urgency, take steps to include the 499 students they unjustifiably denied their hard-earned entry into the professional course in the pass list. We want to state emphatically that the number of students who passed the entrance exams for this year stands at 1,289 and not 790 as the General Legal Counsel earlier communicated. The General Legal Counsel must also revise its examination rules, especially regulations which force students to sign an undertaking not to demand for remarking of their exam scripts when they feel cheated. We are also calling on Parliament to treat this matter as an emergency and resume from their recess to exercise their oversight responsibilities by inviting the appropriate authorities to answer for this injustice. Parliament cannot, and I repeat, Parliament cannot continue to be on recess when the laws they make are being flagrantly disregarded and maliciously twisted by institutions which in ideal cases should be upholding the law and pursuing justice. We must say without any reservation that we are disappointed in Parliament for not nipping this law school menace in the bud by legislative means. And on the point of Parliament, I'd want to sound this caution to party communicators, political party actors, not to by any means politicize this conversation on the Ghana School of Law.
And that's Julius Anthony, one of the student leaders there, outlining their displeasure with the state of affairs. So let me start first with the Honorable Joseph Pemka. So I'm sure you followed this, and certainly this is not new to you. And I'm sure as Deputy Attorney General, this was something that at the Attorney General's office would have been something you discussed. First, are you disappointed that 2 years down the line, we're still having this conversation?
Well, thank you so much, Jifa. Thanks to my younger brother and then your cherished viewers for this opportunity once again. First, let me make this preliminary remark that I have had the opportunity of serving on the General Legal Counsel as Deputy Attorney General, a nominee of the Minister for Justice and Attorney General. And I have made my inputs on this matter. But I ran some commentary a few days ago on another platform. And I made a statement that, look, it's unfortunate. All we do is that when this issue comes up yearly, we make all the noise. After a week or two, that's the end of it. We wait. It comes again the following year. We make noise. After a week or two, it goes. There are no concrete steps put in place to nip this in the bud once and for all as a nation. The conversation seemed to be one of a knee-jerk reaction, the release of results, rather than a long-term, lasting solution that ought to be found without delay in this particular matter. I have heard the students make their complaints. It is true. The majority of us, senior lawyers today, did not go through what they are going through. That's a fact. probably because of numbers those days. I recall that when I finished my LLB program, and they published the results and I passed, I walked to the law school and filled the form and took my admission home. That was all that happened. There was nothing like entrance exam or interview or anything of the sort. That time, we had Legon only. I think Tech had just released their first batch of students, and then they came in. We pursued it. There was no noise at all. Everything was going well. Then the superintendent body over legal education decided to open it up by granting accreditation to qualified universities in Ghana and other tertiary institutions to run LLB programs. And so when that opportunity was given, quite a number of faculties sprang up across the country, blowing up the numbers to proportions that could not be accommodated by the Ghana School of Law. And therefore, it led us to a situation where we ought to, and must as a nation at that time, take a decision as to what could be done to accommodate the ever-increasing number of LLB holders. And I am all out for anything that will ensure quality, but not anything that will deny competent persons from pursuing law. It is true that one of the means of ensuring that you take a few out of the lot is through examination. That is true. But the exam rules itself must not conflict with law. Common sense, good conscience. Again, before any exam is conducted, any set of rules that ought to govern that exam ought to be published and made known to whoever is going to participate in that, so that you don't seek to complain after results have been released. I am making this point because I'm zeroing in on what the students are saying, namely that about 499 of them got over 50%. And I made this point again, that I know a very good friend who got 58%, but has not been offered admission. Reason is that there were sections in the exam, and that if you got 99% in one section and you got 40% in the other, when you strike an average, you are going to get, say, about 65. But that person is not qualified. Why? Because the person did not meet the 50% mark in one of the sections. So they are not aggregating it. They are looking at the passed mark based on both sections. You must pass both sections, but not an aggregated pass. This particular communication that has come from the General Legal Counsel acting through the Director of the School of Law, were the students aware before they participated in the exam? And from the information I have, they were not. So if they were not aware, and this rule came up only after the release of the results, that would be a clear afterthought. And that will not be acceptable.
Let me come in at this point. You said there's been no action to deal with this in the last 2 years. I beg to differ. I know that guidelines were prescribed, that the General Legal Counsel takes steps to implement a path that ensures that by 2022, the examinations are eliminated. A certain roadmap was indicated that needed to be implemented as well by the Ghana School of Law, and that is to demonstrate processes for these exams and the like. There's a view that these have been ignored by the powerful GLC and Board for Legal Education. And even students were required not to sign an undertaking that they would challenge the exams. They are still being made to sign that, contrary to a declaration by courts. That doesn't demonstrate the upholding of the rights and responsibilities of people who are administering bodies, particularly for lawyers who are supposed to be upholding the rights of others?
Well, first of all, let me say that if you go to court to vindicate your rights and there's a pronouncement affirming whatever claims you are making, and then it is disobeyed by a person, there are processes to vindicate your rights again. So whoever took the matter to court, and the court made a definite pronouncement that giving an indication to people that you are not having the right to apply for remarking is unlawful, and the person continues to do it, then you invoke the appropriate legal remedies that are available to you. And they know what to do. Those who actually are parties to that know what to do. What I'm seeking to say, and I say this again forcefully, is that, look, admittedly, there are problems with legal education in Ghana. And we should not pretend as ostriches and bury our heads in the desert. There are challenges facing legal education in Ghana. I have no doubt about that in my mind. I say so because, Jifa, if you look at our system, if you have a systematic expansion in the award of LLB, and there are no concrete steps taken to allow for people to have access to professional training, but just exam to determine how many because of space available in the Ghana School of Law, the conversation can continue for 100 years. If nothing is done about that, I believe that we'll come back and say the same thing in the next 100 years. So I have heard, and I subscribe to that idea, and as I continue to say that we need to empower the majority of the faculties of law. I'm being careful because I don't want to say that all faculties of law should be allowed to run the professional course. And I say this because last year, as a member of General Legal Council, and I'm sure that the student there is aware, and my very good brother and friend is also aware, that there was a damning report released by a committee of the General Legal Council, presided over by Justice Jones Duche, that indicted a number of law faculties in Ghana.
Yes, I remember. It said some of them didn't have the requisite number of staff, they didn't have the requirements in terms of some of the qualifications required to teach certain courses, and even the facilities, the books, the libraries, and all that.
Fantastic. So it means, therefore, that such faculties will churn out half-baked persons, not, in my opinion, not ready to pursue the professional course. Okay. So if you give such a faculty an additional responsibility to train people professionally, they will fall foul.
Okay, so let me hold you there, and let's welcome Martin Kwebu, who is a senior associate with Fuga & Co. Thank you very much, Mr. Kwebu, for joining us. He's also a public interest lawyer. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. I've moved from Fuga.
Oh, you've moved now. Okay. Right. I guess I have to get updated, so thank you for updating me. Yeah, let me ask you, and one day I will come to you. Let me ask you, would you say that the General Legal Council has suffered credibility issues? What about the board for legal? Because it was quite a surprise to find that had there not been an RTI request for the scores to be released, we wouldn't have known. In fact, individuals would have second-guessed themselves that they failed, they didn't do well, only to realize that, some 700 of them actually did pass, but there were other machinations that meant they couldn't get in.
Yes, definitely. As for suffering the credibility crisis, it goes without saying. It goes without saying, so I'm sure it's a lesson for them and for all of us. I'm sure the last time I knew the students, that is to say those who had about 50, and yet from the new ex post facto criteria that they introduced have been deemed to have failed, have petitioned the board of this examinations. So I'm hoping that they will do the needful. Because
but will the board acquiesce? Because the truth of the matter is there's no procedure per se to challenge the marking. there's no procedure to determine that I'm entitled to a remarking. There's no timeline given that the remarking should be done within a certain timeline that allows me to join my colleagues and not be disadvantaged.
Yes, you are right. And that's the Ghana Cook case, this Attorney General and the General Legal Counsel. Yes, that's the High Court decided, Gifty Ejechu, right, that they should put in place the requisite procedures for the remarking and all that, and not ask the students to do any undertaking not to challenge the result. Yeah, it's quite embarrassing, but you know, it's part of a development process. So now that they are coming under a lot of heat, I'm sure they will do the needful. You know, the petition, as far as I understand, was presented a few days ago.
Yes.
So let's give at least a week. Then we'll see whether they want to do the needful, because it's quite embarrassing. As Honorable Penka indicated, it's shocking that that rule that a candidate must pass both section A and B was not introduced before they went into the exam. And, you know, for us as lawyers, it's quite, you know, a bit tacky that we would, I mean, the best of lawyers in the country would sit and then introduce the rule after the exam. It doesn't look tidy at all. But, you know, because the petition is before them, we would want to be a bit circumspect and expect that they do the needful, and then, I mean, they'll
But to be fair, though, should there be a judge in this whole matter? I know the petition has been presented to them because really they are the body. But I'm just wondering, should they be the one looking into a petition that is almost against them? Is there an alternative if there was somebody else to look into it? Because I just see all these entanglements. You have the Attorney General or the deputy, if so nominated, to be on the GLC. You have other people, members of Board of Legal Education. They have entanglements with the AG's department. I mean, it's so convoluted for me. I'm not sure there's a certain fairness that we will get.
It looks like in our constitutional architecture, almost all the institutions, when there's a problem, usually you would write to them first. It's normal that, and it's not only in Ghana. I mean, you look elsewhere around the world, when there's a problem, yes, you can go to court, but don't forget, the court takes a lot of time, and also sometimes, you know, because to err is human, let's not assume. As I said, look, the best of the best sit on the General Legal Counsel, and yet this simple thing that, no, you can't make a rule after the event and ask that the rule should retrospectively affect the event. No, no. It's only so far in our constitution, it's only when it comes to public finances, the budget and those, that's where it's allowed that, okay, the president, the government can spend ahead and then later go to Parliament for a budget appropriation bill to be passed to, you know, make it legal.
That's obvious. There's an obvious reason for that.
Excellent. So beside that, it's not the norm to usually pass a rule after the event. It's not the norm. So I'm sure, I mean, they will look at it, because otherwise it will make them look very bad.
Okay, yes. Let me bring in Wanda Victor Koto, who is the SRC president at the Ghana School of Law. So for the students who passed, the 700 and something 90. That have now realized that I actually did pass, but there's this
499, right?
499, yeah.
Caveat.
499.
Caveat. What have they been telling you?
Okay. Thank you very much, and good morning to our cherished viewers. I must say that I want us to respectfully put this discussion in context. The issue now is not about remarking.
No.
The issue is not about remarking. The issue is that some students, per the SRC audit, we have here the raw scores of all the 2,824 candidates who sat for the exams on August 24th. And per the SRC audit, we've noticed that 499 candidates had 50 and above, and were not part of the first 790 list that was released as part of the pass list. I want to make this point clear, respectfully. Now, the issue now has to do with this notice which I have here, this notice. It is the effect of this notice that has brought about this discussion.
If you don't mind, just read the notice for us.
Okay. Candidates or applicants who obtain the minimum threshold mark of 50% each in the two sections for A and B, into brackets, Part A and Part B, of the exam are eligible to be considered for admission by the General Legal Counsel for the 2021-2022 academic year to pursue the professional law course. the decision of the General Legal Council in respect of the published results of the entrance examination is final. Please be informed accordingly. Kwesi Prempe Ek, Mr. Director of Legal Education. This is
there a date?
There's no date.
Okay.
Okay. Now, it's good you've asked whether there's a date or not. Because there's no date on this notice, and by virtue of the fact that the notice was published together with the second result, which was published on October 4th, we deem it that this notice was dated October 4th. Now, because the SRC is on the negotiation table with General Legal Council through the Director of Legal Education, I want to talk about something briefly about these two notices. And to be fair to the General Legal Council, we want to act in good faith, because even on Monday we are meeting them on this matter. Monday we are submitting the 499. The Director of Legal Education has asked us to submit the list. The SRC, so we want to act in good faith. The explanation that we're giving was that last year, when we wrote the entrance exams, some of our colleagues got 38 in the objectives, that's section A. And paper B couldn't do very well. But because they got 12, they got the 50 marks and passed. And the General Legal Council took the view this year that, I mean, that shouldn't be the case, and that it should perform very well, both in the objective, at least 50%, and part 2, at least 50%. And I'm mindful to say that the General Legal Council is an administrative body set up under Act 32, the Legal Professions Act. So they have some powers to take certain decisions. Now, what is the issue now? It's not about whether or not the notice was appropriate. It is about the issue of fairness, the issue of prior notice. I have here the advert. On the May 14th, the advert published in Daily Graphic, May 14th. This advert was issued by the chairman of the Independent Examination Committee. On May 14th, the criteria, the eligibility criteria to be admitted to the Ghana School of Law was published. And this notice was not part. This notice talking about the threshold, however good the reason could be, was not part of what? Of the advertisement. So it means candidates did not know of this notice. And in law, there's something we call legitimate expectation. And indeed, it is one of the grounds for judicial review. And I must say that the General Legal Council, by virtue of being an administrative body, is amenable to either administrative review or judicial review. Now, if you come out with a notice that's not to cut off 199 students who are not aware, and if you look at our Universe YA case, the issue of prior notice is key, which is why the SRC has taken a position that because the students were not aware of this notice before the examination, they should be admitted, and that we see the notice as unfair to the student. We will come to the role of Parliament in all of this. Parliament has a role. We'll come to the role of Parliament, and I'm happy we have here the Honorable Panka, who was a member of the 7th Parliament, who passed the LI 2427, the Legal Professions and Post-Course Act. He was part of the 7th Parliament who passed that. Who will come to that. So I'm surprised some MPs are issuing press statements and all of that, but they passed that particular act.
They were part of that Parliament.
Yes, yes. Look, and also there's also what we call the numbers game. This year I have here the budget that was submitted to Parliament. Let me show you. If you look at paragraph 1015 of the said budget that was sent to Parliament by the Finance Ministry, he said in 2021, the Ghana School of Law expects to conduct entrance examination for 2,200 applicants and admit 550 to the School of Law. Let me stop here. So it means that even the budget that was sent to Parliament,
they had already predetermined how many students would get in.
Right, 550. Now, my understanding was that the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament appealed, and the numbers were increased to 800.
So that's how come we see the 700.
So on the face of it, it appears Parliament itself has tied the hands of the General Legal Council. So I'm saying that the blame has to go everywhere. You see, let's be very frank in this matter. So Parliament has approved that, look, this year admit about 800 students. So it appears, I'm not defending anybody, but it appears that on the face of it, the General Legal Council is working within a certain threshold. That's why I'm saying that Parliament must come out clear on this matter. Their position, the majority group in Parliament, the minority group in Parliament must come out clear in this matter. Okay. We come to the examination policy of the school.
So let me bring and touch on an issue you raised about the background to coming with the new rule about passing both papers. Isn't it fair that really if you want to pursue the professional course, you're covering a certain range of subjects. You must demonstrate grounding in all of them. It does not serve the students to get 70% in one part and maybe 10% or 20% in another. And then you say you've passed. Because even for those of us who even wrote A-level, and it's not exactly the best example, but general paper was a paper that many of us would have failed. I remember I failed general paper at my time, partly because I was told I didn't do well when I checked. I didn't do well in the logic part. I did well in the English and that other bit, but the philosophical and the logic part, I didn't do well. So I ended up feeling I had to write it again. Luckily, there was strike. So 1 year I was home. I took that to write the paper and pass and go to university. So maybe it's not for nothing that students need to know that you cannot concentrate on a particular area that you may be very good at and neglect the other paper thinking that one will balance the other. Hence, maybe this is a position that we must take in good faith and not necessarily as a way to make it look like there was a certain outcome the GLC or the board or the Ghana Law School was looking for.
All of us prior notice.
Yeah, retrospectively.
The issue of prior notice is what we are all talking about, all three of us.
All of that.
Were they told that this is the rule before they went to write the exam?
But
if they were told,
one, I wasn't told the rule. I only got to know after.
We've moved on. That's why.
Yeah, so wonder.
He's made his legitimate point about that, and I think that we ought to respect that.
Okay. Now, a point. Okay, go ahead. You wanted to make a point.
Yes, I was just trying to say that's what we've been saying all along. And I must say that when I'm making this point, I'm very careful. Because after my first interview, when the first result was, it was all over Twitter that the SRS president defended the general legal counsel. But that was not the case. There's the need for one to be objective. Because at the end of the day, we go back to management to lobby. And even on Monday, we are going to submit at the auditor list, the 499. So we must always act in good faith. So after the justification is key. And in fact, when it comes to the Ghana School of Law, if you take a course like criminal procedure, it is a continuation of criminal law, which is done at the faculty level. So your understanding of criminal law ought to be sound. If you are drafting a charge sheet and you want to write something about, let's say, defrauding by false pretense, your understanding of the Criminal Offences Act, Act 29, ought to be solid. So there's no doubt about the importance of the entrance exams. However, the regulations have to be, the prior notice has to be clear so that I know that, I have to prepare clearly for Session A and I must prepare for Session B. So that is why the SRC is saying that admit these 499 students because they were not told. And you see, there's something about time allocation. If I know that I have to pass both, in the exam hall, I will plan my time. I will spend equal time for Session A and spend equal time for Session B. But I'm not aware. I know that I only have to get 50%. So if I know I'm good in objectives, I'll focus on objective, get 38, and just going to write something small for Session B and pass. And when we talk about legitimate expectation, it has to do with the consistent practice and conduct and representation of a public body like the GLC to the public. So what has been a consistent practice? The consistent practice is that if you get 50% cumulatively, you have passed. That has been a consistent practice. So in 2019, 128 students, it was only 128 students, out of over 1,007 were deemed to have passed because those 128 were the only people who had the 50%. Somebody had 49.5. 49.5 and needed just 0.5 in 2019, the person was deemed to have failed because the person didn't get 50. So this has been, and last year, over 1,045 students. And we need to give credit to management for having innovation, the triple track system for the schools to run. So 1,045 students, including myself, were admitted last year because we had the 50% and above. Cumulatively, there was nothing like Session A, Session B. So if you are bringing a new rule, which is within the rights of the General Legal Counsel, right? Act 32, the Legal Professions Act confers powers on the General Legal Counsel. So they have the right to bring in rules like this, but it should be fair. Look at our university, give reasonable notice. The advert is here, there was nothing like that. And I must say, if you look at Article 296, it talks about how you exercise discretionary powers.
Wanda. Yes, so let me bring you in. Can you address?
Wanda, I just wanted to draw his attention to something. See, we are talking to the public, and sometimes we have to be a little literal instead of being too legalistic. consistently talking about Awini versus Waik. The public will not understand what he's talking about. And they are listening. I know, they are listening to us. That's why, I mean, we just have to let him understand that, you know, there are young people who are, I mean, very exuberant and all that. So those things, you just try to find a way of explaining to them that there is a legal precedence that says A, B, C, D. And then we have to be guided by that. But if you keep saying Awini and Waik, there are people who are listening out there who don't even understand what you're talking about.
Okay. Let me bring in
thank you.
Mr. Pebu. So he raised something about Parliament. I mean, are those thoughts fair, that Parliament seemed to have already given a certain framework within which the Ghana School of Law would be operating, looking at the budget, looking at what Parliament had approved?
Now, I should indicate that that aspect of it is not something that I'd seen before coming in here. So subject to something that may happen, my initial thoughts, I can only offer initial thoughts on it. Yeah, so to the extent that at least he's shown the budget figures and all that, what generally does paragraph 1055, okay? Yes, what I would say is that, well, we all know, even though Parliament has sanctioned this, okay, but we all know that even in the budget, there's usually provision for contingency, extra, right? Yes, so once across the table, we've all made the point that that rule has come too late in the day, and the saving grace is that in every budget, there's provision for contingency. It means that when they do the needful, it can still be catered for. Yes, that's it. Let's be very, very clear. Every budget has provision for contingency. And then this rule that you should pass A and B has come too late. The horses have bolted, and we don't run affairs like that. That's how he's consistent. So Awuni versus Waik is a Supreme Court decision. Okay, there was an exam of practice in this certain secondary schools in Notre Dame. Then the school authorities sought to go into it. They didn't give a hearing and all that. So it's the leading case in administrative law. At least the last time I knew. I don't profess to be an expert in administrative law. But when you go to law school, it's a leading case. So you see they talk about the reasonableness. It's talking about, yeah, so I mean, we've all accepted that under this constitution, you give the rules ahead of the game. The rules are laid out ahead of the game. I like how he's put out the advert. Yes, I have a soft copy of it here. I was going to show. So it's good he has the picture. So a layman looking at it simply will just say, oh, at the time the students went into the exam hall, the rules, did you put it here? You didn't. And you see how he made the point, and it's good for us to emphasize. Depending on the rules, then you know how to plan your time around the questions. Yes, it's very, very key. You see, the University of Ghana, you're taking exams, then they tell you question 1 is 40 marks, question 2 is 20. You see? So that's the effect of that thing. Question 1, 40, question 2, 20. So when you are writing, you know where to spend most of your time. But if you don't do this and then after the horses have bolted, you now bring in a new rule. No, it doesn't. So, but as I've said, we'll be a bit circumspect. Wait.
Yes, Honorable Benta.
The reality is that I think they may not have been told, but the reality, I have to be honest with you, is that they are hit with the impregnable barrier of space. That's all about it.
Infrastructure.
That's all about it. That's the reality. And they are, because of the inability to absorb many more students because of space, they have to come out with these rules. But we are saying that, yes, you are right to come out with the rules, but make the students aware ahead of time that these are the rules. Because you see, it is a fact that last year we got numbers that passed that have never happened in history. That's a fact.
More than 1,000.
More than 1,000 yes, them passed. That was a historical record that we've never actually had in this country. And this year, if you add the 499 to the 790 something, you're going to get up over 1,200 or so. You know. So question is, it will mean that for part 1 and part 2, you're going to have in excess of 2,000. Yeah. And the fundamental question is GIMPA, Tech, and then main campus.
There's
are they
UPSA.
able to? Yes, no. UPSA is not running.
I mean, okay, so
I'm talking of the professional.
The professional, course. Okay.
Will they be able to absorb that, or are they prepared to absorb 1,000 plus in addition to the 1,000 that we already have in the system, I think the answer is going to be a big no. Because having been a member of the General Legal Council, I can tell you that it's an emphatic no. And so there must be a way of getting the numbers that can actually go in there. But this will actually bring to mind what many people are advocating, including my very good friend and brother, Professor Asari.
About opening up the exam. Okay, just hold that thought there. We'll come to that. Right. Let's just take a quick break and we'll be right back. And you've been watching The Key Points. You can join us via text. You can send your text to 055-369-8789. You can also tweet at me at Beho Bampo and also at TV3 and also at 3FM 92.7. We take a break and we'll be right back with our guests.
I rather your humble servant do my back. And I tightness of crowd into me. I swear that Jimmy. My 277. Was he a missa? Had the Maya. Papa, to go miss so. 2020 was a very tough year. 2021, dear. Mafia. First, me talk about Gary Kitwabi. Say the concrete and casa and the medicum. Papa, in the system, no wire ding. Has been so dear, but me, I am a kama. I am young palm, the Miamato. Show me a miracle.
It's showering cash with a grand prize of 100,000 Ghana cedis in the Airtel Tigo Tugumisu promo. Top up, do so much more on Airtel Tigo and earn points to win lots of cash. Dial star 500 hash and recharge 5 Ghana cedis to also win data and call minutes. Get Airtel Tigo.
Airtel Tigo, no, my dear.
Let's welcome the time ladies.
Malaria, I'm not too I'm too so time ever make sure, time ever make sure, time ever make sure. Onyem ne nneoma no phone to me Fedri bi abofra on di fiedumie no entimi Fedri
ko hospital anasa lab me anya a 3-day mo hwehwemu ansa na wetimi anomedro yi bi
kayo set time no time
FDA agi adwade nkratoa yi atum.
I can't wait to get home to another episode of breathtaking drama. Yeah, no wait, to get home and watch reality shows that get you on the edge. And all the action-kicking movies. Sounds like a plan. Oh wait, there's more. I need to get home to watch breathtaking drama reality shows that have no chill, action-kicking movies, cartoons that keep my baby smiling, watch music videos, and the WWE with my superstar. Sounds like everything.
There's a lot to watch on GoTV. Your favorite series, talkies, movies, and kid shows are all in one destination. So get and stay connected to GoTV.
Gain the recognition your business deserves. Grab an opportunity to tell your story at the 4th edition of the biggest and most prestigious gathering of businesses in Ghana at the Kempinski Gold Coast Hotel, 29th October 2021. Live on TV3. To submit and nominate your business, visit www.ghanabusinessawards.com/nomination-entry. Nominations now open till October 13th, 2021. The 4th Ghana Business Awards is supported by Institute of Directors Ghana, Nobel International Business School, the Mike Business School, powered by Media General, TV3, Graphic News App Plus, and Glow Productions. The Ghana Business Awards, celebrating business excellence.
Introducing Nestle Milo All-in-One Nutrimix. The goodness of malt, milk and cocoa in Milo, and even more milk. Just add to water and enjoy the perfect cup of winning energy. Milo! Milo!
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by
The time to discover the music icon with the X Factor, the global superstar. Out of hundreds of potential talent, from Tamale to Kumasi to Takrady and Accra, it is time to discover the next global icon on Mentorette.
Tonight, 16 contestants out of the 34 will make it into the live shows.
Join us this and every Sunday at 8 p.m. on TV3 to cheer them on till the end on Intersex. Intersex, discovering the next global star.
Intersex is brought to you by Heaven Black Mosquito Coil and Insecticide Spray, and Upper Foods, Sense Body Spray.
Since 2014, the Sweden Ghana Medical Center, SGMC, has helped many Ghanaian teachers with free cancer treatment. This timely intervention has saved the lives of many members of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, including their spouses and children.
That financial stress that NAT took, that was a big relief. It was a big relief to the family.
With increasing awareness, many more NAT members are getting free treatment of cancer at SGMC. But in order to sustain this life-saving scheme, NAT is appealing to all members to consider contributing only 5 Ghana cedis monthly instead of 2 Ghana cedis.
We are asking that let us together increase the money from the 2 Ghana cedis to the 5 Ghana cedis.
Remember, a monthly contribution of only 5 Ghana cedis to NAT will ensure that all teachers, together with their spouses and children, continue to enjoy free treatment at SGMC. Watch NAT R on TV3 as various beneficiaries share their touching life-saving stories.
NAT Hour, a documentary of hope for Ghanaian teachers. NAT Hour shows Wednesdays at 5:45 p.m. and on Sundays at 1:30 p.m. on TV3.
Yeah, welcome back, and we're talking about accessing legal education, and our guest in the studio, if you're just joining us, to my immediate left is the Honorable Joseph Pemka, former Deputy Attorney General and former MP. We also have Martin Kpebu, who is also a private legal practitioner, immediately after him, and then we have Wanda Victor Kuto, who is the SRC President for the Ghana School of Law. So let me come to you, Wanda, because apart from all this discussion about those trying to get in, there's the controversy about how the whole administration of education is done when you are in the law school. So I'm learning that there are quite some concerns that students have. For instance, if they fail 3 papers, they are deemed to have failed entirely. And I understand that the costs also involved. I understand you will pay, what, 15,000 cedis a year?
15,600, that's what we paid last time.
A semester?
For the academic year.
For the academic year, great. And then I understand remarking per paper costs, what, 1,500?
Yes, please.
cedis. And what really have you done as SRC President to try and address some of these, should I say, rules about administration in the school?
Thank you very much. And I must thank you for bringing out this topic, because this matter concerns current students of the Ghana School of Law. And I'm happy our Honorable Martin Kpebu is here. He's a former JCR president for Ikwafoho, and he knows how this politics plays on. The current students, they voted for me. So it's important that I address their key issues here. Respectfully, I must say that during the transitional period, we met with management, SRC, and then as executives elect, and outgoing executives, we met with management. And they were clear with us that this particular examination policy, we have to go to Parliament. It's beyond them. They were clear with us.
On the 3 papers being failed, and you write everything again?
Yes, because there's a legislative backing. The LI 2427, the Professional and Post-Call Law Course Regulation 2020. And I'm also happy the former Member of Parliament is here. It was passed in 2020 when he was in Parliament, the 7th Parliament. They passed this LI.
So previously, you didn't have to rewrite the entire papers if you failed 3?
No, this LI amended the 2018 one.
Okay.
Yes, but prior to that, I'm not sure.
There's always an old rule.
It's an old rule.
If you failed one, then you repeated,
Okay.
Then this is 2 No, okay, one, you could go ahead and read that.
If you failed one, you went to the second year and rewrote that one. But if you failed two, you repeated everything.
So now it's even better.
You've improved it to 3.
Yes.
But you are still complaining.
Yes, the LI has increased it to 3.
So which is better?
Yes.
Yes, those days it was 2.
As SRC, we petition Parliament, you see. Because this matter is Parliament, they amend the law. We all know this. So we petition Parliament. We are putting things together. About this year, about 350 candidates failed. When I say failed, it means they've repeated the academic year. Majority, our 700 have moved to part 2, save that some have 1 or 2 papers to rewrite as supplementary, which is fair. But for those who have repeated, we are looking at petitioning Parliament to amend the law going forward. So this is a long-term plan. And also, you see, there's a cost element. I'm happy you made mention of it. Some of our colleagues are waiting for the Ross course. So if you get 49, then you can decide to go for remarking. So that if you get 1 more mark, then you've passed, you may move to part 2, depending on whether you had failed 4 or 3. So there's a cost element, which is why the SRC have introduced the scholarship fund, the SRC scholarship fund. And it's a transparent process. You apply online by the SRC Ghana School of Law website, www.gslsrc.org. It's very transparent, and the application starts on Monday.
But is that the solution? Because if people apply for remarking, and I learned that it takes a certain time for the results to come, and sometimes you'll be disadvantaged because those who may have, the others would have written, while you are waiting for the remarking. If you don't pass again, then you've lost out on both fronts.
No, my understanding of the remarking.
Do the results come before the next group that are supposed to write?
Yeah, the results will come, but the disadvantage is that you will not know whether you're in part 2 or in part 1.
Exactly.
You see, and that is natural. Because if you go for remarking, and you join part 2, you are hopeful that you pass the remarking. But if it comes and you failed, what happens? Will you now go back to part 1? I'm saying that before you go for remarking, always look at the raw score. If you get 49, then you know that when you go for remarking, the chances of you passing is high because you just need 1 mark to get 50. But if your raw score is, say, 20, the chances of...
Are you aware that in the past, just a minute,
yes,
in the past, somebody got below 40 and went for remarking and got 72?
Yes, there could be errors, yes.
That's 72.
Okay, but Honorable Kwenka, isn't there something to be said about the timeline? When the remarking is done, the results should come out in good time. So the person knows whether they are going ahead or
because
not.
some of them are in a dilemma. Whether they are going to sit in year 2 or year 1, they don't know which lecture to attend and all
which is why the SRs, we are pushing that by next week, the Ross course should be out. And when students go for remarking, within 2 weeks, in the start of the new academic calendar, we should get the remarking results. That will inform whether you are going to part 2 or part 1.
A 2-week timeline is appropriate for after requesting the remarking.
Yes, please.
Let me come to Mr. Kwebu. So, Mr. Kwebu, is there a practical solution to the issues he raises, or the solution is political? Because he says Parliament, they passed this legislation. Now it can't really be changed by the school because it means we have to revert to Parliament. What would be a solution that then doesn't disadvantage the students?
Oh, so definitely, one of the ways would be that if they agree to reverse, but even let's put it this way, you have to come out with a new LI, and usually it comes from the General Legal Council. So they would have to put it together and present to Parliament. You see, but remember that on the matter of this remarking and all that, the High Court even, there's a decision of the High Court saying that, look, please come out with the procedure for the remarking. And of course, key amongst the procedure and everything will be the timelines, because without the timelines, then it's not much useful. Yes, so I think that maybe if there are some things they are doing, it will help that they come out, issue a statement on all the steps they are taking in order to abide by the High Court decision about this remarking. It would help. Or maybe you can send reporters to the General Legal Council to ask them that, yes, sometimes help. You know, this matter just came. If I had enough time, I would have made inquiries, but there wasn't enough time. So usually, you know, the media, the fourth estate, you do such a good job. So send a reporter to the General Legal Council to ask them that, look, the High Court said, look, you must come out with the procedure for marking and all the remarking and fees and all that. What have you done so far? Then we can get some clarity.
one more thing on the papers. I learned that the paper that the students fail the most is accounting. And the concern now is that, is there a problem with the approach of teaching the subject that causes a lot of the students to fail that one subject in particular? I'm just wondering if that's something that needs to be looked at, because if you are doing a trend analysis and you identify a particular subject of problem, there should be steps to tackle it.
You're right. My brief comment on it is that, since this matter came, I've said it on a number of platforms, that let's see the examiner's report. What have the examiners said is the problem? What have they seen with the scripts? And so this also speaks in that direction. Until we get the examiner's report, it looks like we will not be able to make much sense of it.
Rather the opposite.
Yes.
At our time, that was the subject that almost everybody passed.
The accounting?
Yes.
Your time?
Yes. About 99% of the students passed it.
Your thoughts on the issues raised about timelines for the remarking, providing a certain procedure that gives students at least a fair chance at moving to the next stage?
Yes,
is it clothed in Parliament to solve this?
You see, he made a point, and my brother reiterated it. But let's not forget that LIs, Parliament per se, is not a drafting authority. They are drafted by the institution that is mandated so to do, and it is laid in Parliament. And if nothing is raised about it, then it is passed after 21 days. That's what happens. That's our practice. So definitely the General Legal Council that brought that to Parliament. But again, if you raise it, then a certain percentage, about 2/3, must reject it for it to be taken. Otherwise, after 21 days, it is deemed to have taken effect. That's what happens. And normally the institutions will come and meet the Committee on Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs and justify the LI. You know, so for example, the issue of if you fail 3 subjects, you repeat. Initially, it was 2. So it went to Parliament after all the discussions and all that, and they raised it to 3. So that is even a very good step over the previous system that existed when we were in the law school. So clearly, it is meant to check a lot of things. That you've written 6 papers, you failed 3, there's no need for you to move to second year. Repeat the course. And that is even, those days it was very funny, Martin? People could get 80%. A, another A, another A. And then you go and get 2 referrals and you repeat the entire program. Then somebody gets 5 Bs and he moves on. You know, that was it. So I think the basic thing was to prepare you to be all round, so that you don't become a specialist at that stage. Because remember that when you come out of the law school, you are not a specialist in any area. You are a general practitioner. You can then go for maybe your master's program to specialize in a particular area, and etc. Or in your practice, you can decide to specialize in a particular area. But as I said, I think all these rules are meant to ensure that you have a broad knowledge of the various facets of law before you are called to the bar. But I agree with Wanda that the General Legal Council will need to go by certain timelines. If you apply for remarking, it should be possible that within 2 weeks you should know your fate, so that if you are moving forward, you go and sit in year 2. If you are not moving forward, you're going to repeat, you go and sit in year 1. But while waiting for that result, if school resumes, what happens? Which class do you sit? You are in a dilemma. It can easily confuse you. So I think that ought to be looked at immediately and remedied going forward.
I've heard that the Attorney General can push for changes, you know. Yes. Is that possible?
Yes.
Yes.
Why can't the Attorney General?
The Attorney General is a member of the General Legal Council.
Why can't he do that?
The Attorney General is a member of the General Legal Council. And you see, his points, when he pushes, can be, excuse me to say, if they have to debate it and vote, it can be rejected. I mean, the Attorney General must not necessarily lord it over the General Legal Council.
Do you know the one they want? Not to enter, so that because you sat on the council, then you can better address. They are looking at section 1, Section 5, the one that says that the Attorney General can give directions to the council and the council should obey. So some are saying that with that stroke of a pen, the Attorney General should be able to tend to. So because you said
that would be very interesting, because you see, the General Legal Council is presided over by the Chief Justice, and then the chairperson is on the chair, and a member of the committee will direct the chairperson. That would be another issue for another day of debate, because the Chief Justice is the one who presides. The Attorney General is an ordinary member. So the Attorney General, who is an ordinary member, now dictates to the chair what to do, and the chair ought to accept.
So let me read it a bit so that because you have practical.
But is that a realistic approach? Because the way you say it, the way I read it is, the Attorney General has cases before the Supreme Court. Let's face it. I mean, will you be directing the chairperson, the Chief Justice, then you go to the Supreme Court to go and fight your case there, and the other, complications that come with it. Yes, Mr. Kwebu.
That's the price. So because he sat there, he's seen it. So I want to defer, but let's just read out the section again. So the Honorable Penka, having sat there for 1 year, sees how it plays. It says, the council shall, in the performance of their functions, comply with any general directive given to them by the minister. So some, as I said, I'm still reflecting, I haven't taken a definite position, but some are saying that because of it. But you know, from what Honorable Peka is saying, the independence of the institution and all that. So it looks like this provision may not be able to.
It's not practical.
It will be reserved for certain things, but not.
But not in this instance. Yes, Wanda.
Wanda, before you come in, please, let me draw your attention to something. But have you realized that there's something creeping into our democracy? I don't know whether you've observed it. I know as a very senior lawyer, you know it. Something interesting is happening because of this separation of powers thing. Something has started happening in Ghana. I don't know. First of all, when somebody wrote to Parliament recently, telling the Speaker to declare a seat vacant, the Speaker replied. Did you read the language? The Speaker was clear that these are two independent institutions and he cannot be directed by the other side to so act. You know what that is telling us? That each side is trying to assert some level of independence. So when you spoke about Parliament's oversight, there's a limit to what they can do, because that also will be resisted by the judiciary, which presides over the General Legal Council. And I recall that some petitions were sent to Parliament and some directives were given by the Right Honorable Professor Mike Aaron Okwe when I was there. And when it came to the General Legal Council, it was the belief of the council, and for that matter, the Chief Justice, that this was an interference in the direct work of the judiciary, which is also asserting its independence. So, at the end of it all, nothing happened. So that is where I am saying that if care is not taken, ego of institutions will drag us to a certain wall that we will not know where to pass. Egos. So all of us must look at practical ways of getting these things remedied. I've told you, this is a law. You have read quite eloquently to us. But the practical demonstration is going to hit a difficulty. How the Attorney General is going to direct a boss.
Well, in this instance, maybe there are other instances where we work. Wanda, you wanted to make a point. Go ahead.
Yes, please. Honorable made a very wonderful point about the system, the exam system.
Yeah.
So this year, the failure rate for accounting, the failure rate was accounting and civil procedure. Now, the issue about the accounting, at the Ghana School of Law now, is there are two subjects that constitute one paper.
That's for the accounting?
Yes, LPM and accounting. You write it as one paper, but on different scripts.
Yes.
So I have a friend, by God's grace, she's passed to part 2, but was referred in this course. She's clear that LPM, she's sure that she'll get like about 80, but accounting was the problem. So we are appealing that if you take LPM and accounting as one paper, if somebody should get, let's say, 60 in LPM and 3 more in accounting, for that course, the person should have been deemed to be passed. You see, but now there's a situation that you have to pass LPM and accounting on the same strength before you can be deemed to have passed just one paper. So it's an appeal. You get it? And this is somebody who hasn't done accounting before. Some of us were lucky in SS, we did business. So we had that small accounting background. Some have done MBA before coming to the law school. So they have that accounting background. So to be fair, the LPM course, they should look at balancing it so that if somebody does very well at LPM, the law practice, and that perform little in accounting, they should consider the person to have passed that particular paper. Now, the issue about the other one, you see, we are taught on different campuses, and I must salute the late Mafosao, who was, laid to rest recently. He lectures civil procedure at the main campus. When you're at the main campus, the person is civil procedure. When the questions can be write short, briefly. You don't write too much. Other campuses to say you have to be detailed. So now, sometimes.
So it's difficult to determine what is requested.
And you don't know the lecturer that marks. So we are appealing that going forward, the examiner's report, as Honorable said, should be made public so that we students will know whether, okay, when it comes to civil procedure, because apart from the LPM, civil procedure, most students failed civil procedure. They've passed, but they've been referred in civil procedure. Some have been referred. So we should know that, okay, this is what is expected when you are writing civil procedure, so that it will not be dependent on the campus in which you are. So that if you're in Kumasi campus, you don't have a different view of what you are being expected in civil procedure. When you're at Green Hill, or when you're at main campus, we should have the same, we should all be on the same page. So that civil procedure, we know that, oh, they expect you to write just the salient point. Let me give an example. If they ask the question about caveat being filed, some will say just go to the point. Some will also say, oh, first define what caveat is before you move to the main point. Some will say, no, you are wasting time, be direct. What is the point? So we should know what the examiners expect of us. So the marking scheme is key at this point. Thank you.
Let's read some of your messages, and then we'll take a break. And then when we come back, we will address the issue of a demonstration that the students are planning, and whether they should be having a demonstration on this at this time. This one from Francis Carter from Twitter. I like the spirited articulation of the issues by the SRC president. He's doing the Lord's work. I wish him well with his engagement on Monday with the management. This one says, I just can't believe our professional institutions like the Ghana School of Law are suffering from infrastructure deficits upon all the funds they get from the fines people pay at the courts. Well, I don't think they are related, but I'm sure Honorable Kpemka and Mr. Kpebu can explain. And that's from Jonas Kade on Twitter. This one from Comeback, Chris, is a question. So does the GLC believe in the principles of law? Certainly they do. And these are issues that are being discussed. And Nenebi Oforisaki writes, I think the GLC should eat humble pie to avoid such precedents. The only crime these students committed is that they were born in Ghana. This one from Prince Henry. For how long can we continue to blame students who write and fail entrance exams in Ghana? It's about time we also blame the leadership and the teachers who supervise these students and their exams. More than 50% of failures can't be laid at the doorstep of students. And let me take some of your text messages as well that have come on this. This one says, please, in terms of space, the Ghana School of Law makes money enough to rent additional facilities. They are renting GIMPA and KNUST, so nothing stops them from renting. Also, the Ghana School of Law is one public institution or education that takes the highest fees, 15,000 and over. So it's not a venture that they turn a loss. Again, education is a right. They don't have to deny the person who's passed exams. Ghana and most institutions need more lawyers for efficiency. The Minister of Justice said last year that they can even admit 1,500 students. Another message from AU Farouk in Tamale North. In fact, the controversy surrounding accessing legal education is making some of us uncomfortable. As it stands, my interest to apply to the Ghana School of Law is putting fear in me as well as panic because of the monopoly over there. And Prince Henry in Koforidua, why do we have a budget for 550 students and allow over 2,000 students to register for the examination? This clearly shows some kind of bias and injustice to the students before they start writing their exams. The leadership of the country are in charge, and this is just daylight extortion to our colleagues who apply to pursue law in our beloved country. And a final message from Isaka. The law school admitted over 1,500 applicants because it was, well, I think in that year it was what, 1,000, more than 1,000, but not 1,005 applicants, because it was an election year. But now elections are over. So they are pushed to get back to the usual situation. Very, very interesting perspective. It's
not a political body.
We'll come back, but let's just take a quick break and we'll be back on the final leg with our guests.
I rather your humble servant do my back. And I tightness of crowd into him. That's why that Jimmy. Matthew 7:7. What's your missa? Had the been my papa to go so. 2020 was a very tough year. 2021 dear mafia. First me talk about Gary Kitwebi. Say the concrete and casa and the midi gummy. Papi, in the system in my thing. Has been so dear, but me I am a kama. I am young palm, the Miamato. Show me a miracle.
It's showering cash with a grand prize of 100,000 Ghana cedis in the Airtel Tigo Tugumisu promo. Top up, do so much more on Airtel Tigo and earn points to win lots of cash. Dial star 500 hash and recharge 5 Ghana cedis to also win data and call minutes.
Airtel Tigo no, my dear.
The Energy Commission and the Ministry of Energy presents the 7th Ghana Renewable Energy Fair Conference and Exhibition from the 12th to the 14th of October 2021. Time 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. daily. Venue Accra International Conference Center. Side attraction Senior High School's Renewable Energy Challenge. Theme Removing Barriers to Renewable Energy Development in Ghana. Guest speakers Her Excellency Mrs. Samira Bawumia, Second Lady of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, Minister of Energy, Professor Ebenezer Odro Owusu, Board Chairman, Energy Commission. To exhibit your renewable energy products and energy efficiency solutions, call 0205-181799. Attendance is free. This event is sponsored by GIZ, We Power Authority, VRA, AFD, ECG, Gridco, and Jubilee Bros.
Make every moment count with DSTV's new shows this spring. Love certainly proves itself strange on Starlight. While Mariam uncovers the truth about her past that'll change her future. Then climb the corporate ladder with real estate tycoons on Z World. On Telemundo, Lolly takes custody of her late best friend's 2 children. And a lifelong curse won't hold Aurora back on TL Novelas. Get and stay connected to DSTV for world-class entertainment. DSTV, it's your moment.
The time to discover the music icon with the X Factor, the global superstar. Out of hundreds of potential talent from Tamale to Kumasi to Takrady and Accra, it is time to discover the next global icon on Mentorex.
Tonight, 16 contestants out of the 34 will make it into the live shows.
Join us this and every Sunday at 8 p.m. on TV3 to cheer them on till the end on Mentorex. Mentorex, discovering the next global star.
Mentorex is brought to you by Heaven Black Mosquito Coil, an insecticide spray, and Upper Foods, Sense Body Spray.
Yeah, welcome back, and we're in the last leg of our show. So, interesting messages there. So, Wanda, there's the plan for a demonstration. I know that some students said they were going to demonstrate because of the situation in the law school. Is that what we should be doing at this time?
Okay, in answering this question, I'm very, very careful. Because I had granted an interview before, and I said, given a contest, demonstration is not necessary now, and it was all over that, oh, this aspect is not serious. He said we shouldn't demonstrate and stuff. NUGs have called for demonstration.
Yes.
But the essence of the Ghana School of Law, we've taken a position that we are on the negotiation table with management. We are saying that on Monday, we have audited the raw scores. We have the list of the 499 candidates who got the 50 and above. And the Director of Legal Education has asked us to submit the list. So So we are saying that we want to exhaust all of this. If it doesn't go well, we have other mechanisms. So we are keeping our cards close to our chest. You understand? There will be other options. There could even be legal action. Go under Article 2. So we are not talking about any demonstration or anything now. We want to get them admitted. That's our focus. And on Monday, while submitting the 499 names to the General Legal Council through the Director of Legal Education and the Ghana School of Law, we are adding recommendations. That one, you see UPSA. We've done our checks, and UPSA is ready to give space to the Ghana School of Law. In any case, the Green Hill campus is a rented facility at Gimpa. So UPSA is ready to rent a place for the Ghana School of Law to accommodate this 499. This is a short-term solution, because yes, we'll talk about the long-term soon, but we need a short-term for this 499. So that's how we've done our background check. UPSA, they are ready to make space available. 2, the civil service hall around the ministries. You see, they have a large auditorium that they can use for lectures. So this 499 can park at Independence Square, go for lectures and stuff. Now, as part of the short term, they also recruit some lecturers. They recruit lecturers. And the current lecturers, as we've engaged some of them, and they said, oh, if they get the 499, they are ready to lecture them. The triple track, people go for lectures on Saturday, and these lectures sacrifice to lecture them. So these are some of the short-term solutions.
So there's some goodwill that you sense to provide whatever support is needed for these additional students.
Yes, please. So on Monday, that's what I said, that we are looking at the solution, getting the 499 admitted. If management feels, if the negotiation does not go well, they will now look at the other options. So for now, I don't want to be specific that we are going on demonstration or we are not going on demonstration. We are focused that this 499 ought to be admitted. So on Monday, we'll present the list with this short-term recommendation. We also have long-term. For example, luckily, the Law Village is underway. The Law Village. This is a long-term plan, and we call on government and corporate Ghana to support so that this the Law Village is completed. Because the Law Village will also house the SRC complex. The last time, I led the 5-member delegation to Ghana Gas, and Mr. Engineer Santi, the CEO, said they are ready to also support, you understand, infrastructure. And I must say, Ghana Gas is really hockey at University of Ghana. So if we get Ghana Gas to also provide funds, then the Law Village can also move, not only Ghana Gas, other institutions, government institutions to support. But these are long-term plans. And also, the faculties in Ghana, they should also be strengthened. So that, as Honorable and then our senior lawyer said, when the faculties are strengthened, then there could be a possibility of they also running the program. But until they are strengthened, it will be very difficult. So these are my final remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wanda Koto. So, Mr. Kwebu, any final comments on what the long term should look, or what the short to long term should look like?
Okay. Yeah. So I think I would go with a lot of the recommendations is made, because as Honorable being an insider at the time, at least
today you have defended all your powers to him.
Yeah, because there are some of the things. He sat in the General Legal Council, so he saw, I mean, how basically they dealt with these problems. So to the extent that space is one of the major challenges, we basically should be listening to Wanda's proposal that UPSA has a space, and I'm sure even beyond that, there will be other facilities in Ghana.
It's not a case of keeping the law as an exclusive club for a particular group of people.
Not at all.
And keeping the fees at a certain optimum level.
Not at all, because if it were, then a lot of us wouldn't have become lawyers. You know, there's always suspicion, but as I've said, look, you know this system that caused the failures, you know some of the persons that sit on the General Legal Council, the awards failed. Yes. Yeah, yes. I don't want to mention it, but quite a number of them on the General Legal Council.
I'm seated there with somebody whose award failed.
Yes, and I know at least more than 2 on the General Legal Council whose awards failed. Yeah.
So and it's not like they're entirely isolated from the whole.
Even the former Attorney General, you know, so, well, at least that one, she even mentioned it publicly, also had the same, issue. And so some of these children had to go to Gambia. Very powerful people in the General Legal Council now. Their kids have to go to Gambia. So it tells you that it's not as if they are there gatekeeping that first generation lawyers shouldn't come in. No, I think we all know that the problem is the space, and it's good we are giving the issue traction here. You know, sunshine is the best disinfectant. So with this, basically they will look at how to get more space and then recruit more lawyers and solve this issue. And moving forward, people too have raised the issue of making sure that long term, we should restructure in such a way that the law schools, that the law faculties should be given the opportunity to run all the courses, then there will be the independent examination board. So you go to the law school, you do all your courses there, then you take the bar exam once and for all, instead of this current situation where
you write part 1, then you write part 2.
Then you go to the law school and then they say there's no space and there's some apparent deliberate attempt to keep some people out and all that because of lack of space.
All right. And you, Honorable Pemka?
I have repeatedly said that we have reached a point where, as Ghanaians, we have to chart a path for the future of our population. We have reached a point where we have to perhaps stop talking and act. We have reached a point where we ought to, as a nation, do something practically to nip a growing problem in the bud. If we do not, I foresee that in the not too long future, we may be faced with serious crisis in this country. We've talked about cost, but let me draw attention. As my brother
the cost of fees?
Fees. My brother Kwebu mentioned it. They also go to Gambia, pay $10,000. That's about 4 times what they pay in Ghana.
It's not for nothing that many of us have just done all of our degrees here because we can't afford it.
We can't afford it. So when we even talk about other alternatives, can we afford? The point is we cannot. And so, I mean, yesterday, I was reading something on Facebook. A gentleman had 8 A's, and he's at some blocks manufacturing company working every day. Yes, yesterday I saw it on Facebook. 8 A's. He's not gone to school. He's been working with some block factory.
He'll be sponsored in no time.
I know because of what has come out, a number of people will go in to assist. You have no idea what is happening in certain parts of the country. The type of brilliant persons who are not in school. So for me, law.
We should also
I know all of us.
Maybe
some of us are not privileged to come from a background of lawyers and all that. Probably coming from your village, you are the first lawyer ever, and etc. It's not an easy thing.
Okay, but maybe we should
make
also
it
have
very
a scholarship.
Difficult.
Maybe we should have a like I know maybe this may not be the best example, but there's the Rhodes Scholarship, which is really for lawyers. Maybe we should have that to also cater for young people who've done very well but can't afford
We've spoken a lot, but have we talked about, Madam, this morning, Jifa, have we spoken about how many departments and agencies in Ghana are without lawyers? We're not talking about that. And so the majority of problems that we encounter in procurement, in whatever it is, the infractions we have in terms of the Procurement Act and etc., all because we do not have lawyers to actually assist. That's why I even think that along the line, we should try to encourage state institutions and agencies to pay for the training of lawyers. Because we are lacking lawyers in this country. You know, I mean, my very good brother and friend, Martin, will tell you that he's in private practice. And if you recruit people and you want to pay them salary, and the salary is such that it cannot even take him to the nearest market, the person will prefer to be in private practice. So we have to encourage legal education and encourage recruitment into the various facets. That will minimize graft even. If we have a lot of lawyers in the various departments and agencies to advise people on the way forward and etc., he will write his opinion. If you put it aside and do what you want to do, he will be vindicated tomorrow.
All right, and
so I think we need to act.
All right, that's where we have to end it. I want to say many thanks to you, Honorable Joseph Pemka. Many thanks to you, Wanda Kuto. Many thanks to you, Mr. Kwebu, for joining us today. I want to say thanks to all of you who sent us messages on Twitter and via text. Many thanks to you. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll deal with the uncomfortable conversation about criminalizing LGBTQ+. Do stay with us.
Let's Go Farming. Show Saturdays at 4 p.m. on TV3.
It's always an exciting moment when these ladies meet. They put away their differences to bring you closer to everything you need to know.
You don't need a visa to Singapore. You don't have to break the budget to look good. I don't like the saying, dress how you want to be addressed, but it does carry some weight.
So you have a long dress and you want to shorten the length of it, you just do it by yourself.
For interior, you have to first consider who you are.
To share my story, make the fiber conversation a normal one.
In their craziest moments, they forget they're on live television. Realness, humor, intelligence, positive vibes are your weekend package. Join Anita Ekufu, Sika Ose, Miss Flavor, and Helen Apia Ampofu on the Ladies Circle every Saturday, 6 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by
Yaz Sanitary Pad, Vodafone, GTP, still timeless.
Woodine.
Music is that one thing that you didn't know you needed, but you have. Are you ready? Let go!
Everybody put your hands in the air.
The house party! Soothing music. Electrifying performances. Worthwhile interviews.
Sometimes we do songs in 3 months, 4 months.
Yes.
It's
no be my own conference. I don't just say
What? The best of the best.
This year, where the party there today. I'm gonna chop it. Gonna suck it.
Music. It's big.
Music shows every Saturday at 8 p.m. on TV3. Don't miss it.
Welcome to The Summons.
We bring you a show that gives you a good blend of gospel music, the Word of God, and everything inspiration to a Christian heart.
And it's a call to discipleship. It's a place where you connect with and also receive from God.
The Summons.
The Summons.
The Summons.
The Summons.
The Summons. The Summons.
Brought to you by myself, Benjamin Ofeado, and
Na Ashokor.
Keep watching The Summons. You'll be blessed.
The Summons shows Sundays at 11:30 a.m. and repeat on Wednesdays at 12 a.m. on TV3. The time to discover the music icon with the X Factor, the global superstar. Out of hundreds of potential talent from Tamale to Kumasi to Takrady and Accra, it is time to discover the next global icon on Mentorex.
Tonight, 16 contestants out of the 34 will make it into the live shows.
Join us this and every Sunday at 8 p.m. on TV3 to cheer them on till the end on Mentorex. Mentorex, discovering the next global star.
Mentorex is brought to you by Heaven Black Mosquito Coil and Insecticide Spray and Upper Foods, Sense Body Spray.
It's about to get more sporty.
with a touch of super entertainment with your favorite stars.
Sometimes we play the pit and get a chaskele, the football.
Who should I take? Sunny Cruz? Why?
While keeping you up to date with every trending issue in your world of sports on Warmer Plus.
But in comes Thomas Tuchel and everything changes. And when he said he wanted to be better than me, I was happy.
Let's keep it more sporty and super entertaining every Saturday on Warmer Plus, right here on TV3.
You're welcome back, and our next topic is criminalizing LGBTQ plus constitutionalism versus religious morality. Is there any middle ground for protecting minority groups from discrimination? Now, certainly many of us this week have engaged in uncomfortable conversations about where we stand on LGBTQ plus issues. Also the issues of minority rights and the implications of the private members bill, which is named the Promotion of Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill. Well, Parliament, we are told, has received some 150 and more memoranda, which it will review and which is meant to support shaping of what will be the final bill before it continues the legal process. But before we delve deep into the issues, CNN has been reporting on how this has been running this week. What we'll run for you now is an abridged version of that report by Steve Mackenzie of CNN.
Hey, it's David. How are you doing?
We're heading to a safe house in Accra.
We're probably about 30 minutes from your live location now.
Run by gay activists.
Okay. Can we carry in the cameras, or we need to keep the cameras in boxes?
I think let's carry it in boxes.
Thank you for having us.
We're meeting Joe. We agreed to hide his identity because he's afraid of being attacked again.
Take me back to that moment when those men came and started harassing you.
I was shaking when they took me to that room, and then they set up their cameras, and I was screaming, I was crying. I wanted to kill myself. For me, when I saw this video, I was like, it would be better I kill myself because I have nowhere to go.
And your dad threw you out?
Yeah.
And what was that moment like?
I cried like never before.
Soon, the community fears they could be targeted by the state.
What is your message to someone who is LGBT in Ghana right now?
Well, we love them. We always say, we love them.
But you want to send them to prison?
No, we are asking them not to do it.
A draft law to be debated in weeks coerces LGBTQ Ghanaians to choose between jail time and so-called conversion therapy, seen by UN experts as torture. It prosecutes same-sex displays of affection, even punishes activists supporting the community. Activists call it a homophobe's dream.
Today in 2021, you believe that someone who supports openly the LGBT community should potentially go to prison for 10 years?
Of course.
Why is that?
Because it's against our culture. It's against our norm. It's against our tradition. And we don't want things that are against our sensibility should be, given priority in our society.
Tragically, the LGBTQ community here says that tolerance was slowly improving in Ghana. When they opened a support center in January, it rallied conservative lawmakers who say that being gay is un-African, a Western import. Backed by powerful religious groups, the leadership of the million-strong Pentecostal church say LGBTQ organizations are a national security threat.
If the same Bible told people to love thy neighbor as thyself, why would you want to torture your own neighbor? Why would you want to torture your child?
This prominent gay activist has already gone underground.
And that report by CNN's Steve Mackenzie, I didn't watch it initially. Someone alerted me to it. So let's welcome our guests this morning. Still with us is the Honorable Joseph Kpemka. We have the privilege to have Akoto Ampao, private legal practitioner, not often one you get. And also we have on Zoom Edem Senanu, who is with Advocates for Christ. But let me start first
I didn't qualify his introduction, not just any private legal practitioner.
Please.
I have refrained.
Please.
Yes, he's a senior rights advocate. I know I've refrained from saying he's a president's lawyer because that is being used in an entangled debate. So that is why. Thank you.
He's one of our most respected seniors.
Of course, certainly. Mr. Ampao, how do you feel watching that CNN report? That's an abridged version, though.
I feel sad for Ghana. I think that this is not where we should be heading at this time of our development, and that it is a retrograde step we are taking. And I hope that through this discussion, the discussion that is going on in the country now, which I hope, fully believe will become less one of insults and name-calling, we can address the main issues and reach a common conclusion as a society.
Honorable Pemka, how did watching the report make you feel? It's not often you get Ghana featuring on CNN.
Well, I have a problem with the report itself. And as we progress, I'll seek to address that. It looks like the reporter set out to achieve a certain aim. And in doing so, he tailored his report along a certain line to be able to achieve that aim that he set out for himself. He tried to portray the state as an intolerant and, I'm shying away from saying that a group of very wicked people.
Homophobic.
I'm just struggling to get the appropriate adjectives, but I'll get them as we progress.
Right.
The point is that I am unhappy with the report and in its entirety. And as we progress, as I said, we'll do a critique of it.
Yeah.
Because the report did not situate whatever he was doing also within a certain context.
Okay, I'll come back to you on that. But let's bring in Edem Senanu, who is with the group Advocates for Christ. They had a press briefing yesterday where they presented a young gentleman who are deemed to have reformed from being a homosexual. But first, my question to you, Mr. Senanu, how did you feel watching that CNN report? I believe you may have seen the longer version, but this is the abridged one.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I'm not quite sure I sat through the entire thing, but CNN has a reputation, not too surprising, and I wouldn't expect them to do anything different from what happened. And they're entitled to promote what they want to and to take a position. We are also entitled to have a position on the matter. So I'm not too really bothered. I think what matters is what we as a society believe should be in the best interest of this nation.
Now, what was the objective of presenting the young man yesterday as somebody who had reformed from being a homosexual?
Well, let me first take a step back. Yesterday, we presented our science paper. We had a science memo which covered the medical, the genetic, and the psychological arguments why this bill is crucial. And so we set out to indicate that there is no gay gene, and therefore, from that context, there's nothing unique about the homosexual group, such that we should be saying that.
It's not loud enough.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, go ahead, Edem.
Okay. So first, we wanted to set out the scientific arguments. We've had probably about 10 different professionals, professors and doctors, pulling together on over 60 references on the subject matter to first establish that, look, from the sciences, this is a no-starter. It is something that is a choice, and the Human Genome Project, which covered 500 million citizens of the globe, establishes that there's no gay gene, and that 75% of what makes us decide on a sexual orientation depends on the environment and the culture within which we find ourselves, 75%. To that extent, these are choices. And if they are choices, we cannot talk about fundamental human rights in that context. Now, in that, talking about that, we also wanted to demonstrate that there are people who have recognized that these are choices, have allowed themselves to be held, and they have made a change and a transition. And so Aaron's testimony, so to speak, was to buttress the fact that there is hope. Because for us, we think that these are our brothers and sisters, whatever we can do to ensure that they are assisted ought to be done. And in my thinking, the bill actually protects the community because having raised this issue in January that they were going to open an office and so on and so forth, it then stirred up the emotions of Ghanaians. And if we didn't put in place something that would support and protect them, that would be dangerous. So that's the context.
Now, one of the questions I want to ask is about the science. Isn't it just the reality that science is never exhaustive? And so saying categorically and in absolute terms that there is no gay gene may not be entirely accurate. And we do know that sometimes there are hormonal imbalances that make an individual tilt in the opposite direction. We've seen individuals who exhibit tendencies that demonstrate that they are not of the gender that they have signed on to or that had been ascribed to them. So isn't it too quick to just ascribe absolutism to say there is no gay gene, especially when Aaron said as young as 9 years old, he had homosexual urges. He was never attracted to women or girls. He was always attracted to boys.
Well, thank you. And I think you should have been part of the session yesterday. So I'm going to have to break it down for you. In the sciences, we like to be precise. So what we do is you run a test, you get a result, you do that test repeated times to see whether you get the same result so that you can now say that if you apply this amount of pressure, your car will stop. All the gadgets you use, the planes, the cars, what you have, is the precision of science that allows us to draw conclusions. Now, in the issue of the male-female versus intersex, the issue is that we do not define male and female simply by the physical observation of genitalia. What ultimately defines male and female is the chromosomal composition, which means the type and the number of chromosomes, and sometimes the hormonal levels. So in a situation where you see two organs, say male, female, what you do is you run a genetic analysis to find out, is it XY? Do we have more XY or more XX or XXX? And what are the hormonal levels? The assessment then arrives at a conclusion to say that in terms of XY, we have more XY, so this is a male, or you have more XX, so it's a female, or you have a hormonal level that indicates that this is male or female. So the sciences have protocols that are applied to arrive at the final conclusion of the matter. And I'm trying to say that you've got to sit at the feet of scientists to understand. We have no doubt in our minds that this issue was resolved hundreds of years ago and nothing has changed. So the fact that some people, from a physical observation, you see certain things. So you've seen a male organ, a female organ, so you're thinking, oh, there's confusion here. That's not the case for the sciences. For the sciences, the question is the chromosomes and the hormonal levels. So it's like you've picked a car, and there are several criteria you must look at to decide whether it's a saloon car or it's a 4x4. You don't just use one criteria. There are a number of criteria that come together to draw the final conclusion. So if we run the genetic analysis, usually, if you find that the XY is more, and yet you are showing some XX, it will mean that you need that's a case to be managed. So you have other doctors who come on board, those who deal with endocrinology, etc., to look at what kind of drugs and whatnot to manage the hormonal levels and so on and so forth, so that it is clear this is. But in terms of the science, once they run the genetic analysis, they will draw a firm conclusion, which has always been the case, except for the fact where you don't have the equipment to run those tests.
All right. Let me come to Mr. Akoto-Ampao there. So initially I was thinking of the legal, the religious. Now there's the scientific, you know, argument that comes through. What is the way to look at it? Is it about science? Is it about religion? Or can all the three come together, including the law?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I want to make the point here that this debate is not about religious beliefs. Secondly, this debate is not about numbers. It's not lining up how many people support gay, 30 million. How many people are against gay, 2 million or whatever, or the other way around. That is not the issue. The issue, the fundamental issue, has to do with our constitution and rights. That's the basic issue that we have to address, and it is a bit gratifying that just recently the majority leader in Parliament said that the matter will not be discussed on the basis of religious beliefs. I think that's a major step forward if that is how Parliament is going to address this matter. It's a constitutional matter, you know, impinging on rights and the public interest. Now, the science. First of all, let me make the point that the bill itself recognizes the intersex category, which suggests that the person is not necessarily born at birth with an assigned sex, male or female. The second point I want to make is that, as you know, our colleague had just said, it depends on the chromosomes. And it is not the case that you have nature in its diversity would necessarily have either the chromosomes that define you clearly as a man or chromosomes that define you clearly as a woman. And therefore, there are situations where the sex in terms of male and female cannot be determined. And it is, he makes the point that you may have more, a little more of the male or a little more of the female and so on. And that can be addressed through medical management and so on. Now, our point here is that, one, you are dealing with the autonomy of the individual. So, and of course, the parents and so on. So you cannot determine or dictate for them whether they should access such medical conditions. My second point here is that it is not the case that this thing has been determined by science hundreds of years ago. And in any event, scientific history shows very clearly that if you are addressing a natural phenomenon based on a particular theory, you tend to have the same results until a new theory emerges. That's the process of scientific development. So today, scientists would think that this is the scientific answer to the problem because they are working within a particular scientific paradigm. It takes somebody working outside that paradigm to develop a new paradigm which is even more effective and creates the basis for new knowledge. So the question of science is not determined absolutely as is being suggested. And the point here is that as the bill itself recognize this. There are people who are asexual. They don't have any feelings for male or female and so on. What has the state got to do with that? Is it the state's business to criminalize such a person? And if a person is intersex, is it the state's business to criminalize that? And that the fact that the bill goes to that extent of criminalizing somebody who is an intersex or criminalizing somebody who is asexual, a meaningless, project, shows the extremism of the mind frame that produced that bill.
All right. Let me take a final comments from Mr. Senanu, because he'll have to leave us in some minutes. So what has the state got to do with sexuality? I mean, I dare say it's not for nothing that adultery is not a crime. It's a basis for divorce, but it's not a crime. And even in our criminal code, those who go beyond bounds and engage in sexual assault, sodomy, defilement, rape, there are punishments prescribed for them. So really, why criminalize LGBTQ? Why can't we just coexist in peace? They should be allowed to work. They should live their lives. They shouldn't be identified and targeted. And it may seem that that's what this bill does.
Okay, so thank you, Jifa. And I need to first, as a scientist, disagree with my senior. I mean, he's a lawyer. I am first and foremost a scientist before a governance practitioner. And I want to reiterate that there is an absolute position on the sciences on the issue of male and female. We don't have any differing fluidity or progressive interpretations like they may have in law. It is XY or it's XX.
No.
It's as simple as that, and nothing has changed. Indeed, when there have been new theories, the new theories have been tested. For example, there was a gentleman known as Levy who self-identified as a homosexual. And in work that he did with animals, had said he had found some biomarkers that indicated a potential genetic foundation for homosexuality. What was done was that other researchers or professionals tested the theory. And what you do is you try and replicate what he has done and see whether you arrive at the same conclusions. Unfortunately, all the new theories and frameworks that have come up, whenever scientists have tested or tried to replicate this, they have been found wanting. None of the repeated tests have found that these theories actually have a foundation. So we have a very systematic way of saying that there's a new theory, it is fundamentally sound, and we can use it to draw conclusions. So let's not hurriedly allow Mr. Akoto-Ampao to sweep under the carpet the sciences. I take great exception to that as a scientist. And I think they need to sit with a multidisciplinary team to draw the kind of conclusions they want to draw. This is what was not done in the West, and we see the kind of chaos they are descending into. Now, let me come to the issue of this.
Not to interrupt you, Edem, before you continue on your thought, but isn't this the same view that in the past they said the world was flat, and years later we've changed that to the world being round, and Galileo was asked to recant, those views. That position has been changed, apologies have been rendered. So that is why we cannot consider things in absolute terms.
No, Jifa, if you want to go down that road, you need to proffer specific evidence why we should think in the contrary. Let's not just make a kind of a speculative discussion, because we are professionals here. We're engaging around a subject matter that is very emotive and important to Ghanaians. So let's not do flat earth versus round earth. If you, Jifa, now have, or Mr. Akoto-Ampao, or anyone for that matter who's a proponent of this matter, have specific information, evidence that you can adduce that suggests that there's a new theory that we need to test as scientists and draw a conclusion, we'll do that. But we are clear that whilst we have a human rights lobby who have been pushing sexual orientation as a right, we say it's a practice because there's nothing that allows you to say it's a unique situation for it to be a fundamental basic right. Otherwise, we go down a slippery slope of everybody who has other preferences beginning to say, it's my right to bed wet, it's my right to smoke marijuana, and so on and so forth. Now, let me come to the second issue that you raised about the state. I think that we confuse issues. We try and make it a matter of the state versus everyone, when we all know, and I have taught public policy, I've trained 20 plus of the top NGOs, CSOs on what makes good public policy. Good policy and law emanates from the people. The issue we should be asking ourselves is, on this matter of homosexual activity, what is the ideal, the aspiration, and the thinking of the people of Ghana? Because to the extent that in the UK or US you have a law that says that we accept homosexual habits and practices, but we don't accept polygamy, but in Ghana you do, you must understand that there's a social ethos that defines what is law, good law. Legitimate law is to the extent of the ownership of the people. So let's ask ourselves today, what do the majority of Ghanaians feel is in the best interest? And ultimately, if we need to do a differentiation between, let's understand what the minority groups are and how do we take them on board, that's an excellent way forward. And I believe that Ghanaians are discerning. I've heard some people talk about the sentencing policy having to be re-looked at, etc. I think we ought to do things like that. But let's not run away from the fact that there's a CDD report that indicates that 93% of Ghanaians have said that this issue of LGBTQIA++ activities is not one that we align with. And the last time we attempted something like that with the toll levy law, Ghanaians said you cannot implement this. It's certain. So don't forget that it is what the people say ultimately that matters. It's not a matter of let's just look at it from the perspective of what the state. It's not just a state. We, Article 1.1 or Article 35.1, sovereignty lies in the people. We repose authority in the government for a period. They are our agents. It is what we believe is in the best interest of Ghanaians. That is what should carry the day. And in this instance, we will compel others who want to talk about this to understand it in the context of the best interest of the public. By the way, the medical evidence also shows that there is so much complications in relation to the homosexual community, apart from the fact that many of them are also heterosexual. So if they are getting HIV/AIDS and the prevalence is high, we have 18.1% of our homosexuals in Ghana already HIV/AIDS positive. And they also have heterosexual partners. So that's the benefit they give us. There's also the issue of the oral and throat cancers, the anal cancers. There's a lower life expectancy of about 20 to 25 years. And all of this comes as a health cost to the health services of the country. So there are economic issues that must also be considered when we talk about this.
Okay, just a quick one. You mentioned the role of the state and the like, but in our constitution, everyone is deserving of equal consideration, respect, and dignity. The fact that 93% of Ghanaians agree on something doesn't mean that the other 7%'s views should be subservient. There must be protection of minorities, because it wasn't too long ago.
That's exactly what I said.
No. You are saying that the majority carries the day. We should accept it and move on. But how do you protect minorities? Because today it's LGBTQ, tomorrow it's Muslims, tomorrow it may be an ever woman like me, tomorrow it may be a minority religious faith. Where does it end?
So, Jifa, I think you missed that part of my argument. I first established that in a democracy, what the majority say is important. And then I went on to say that, however, it's important to reflect what the minorities also think about the matter, an engagement around the table to understand their concerns and take them on board in terms of the sentencing policy, in terms of the architecture is also crucial. And so I said the way forward would be talking also about what are the concerns of all other parties and taking them on board. But let's not forget that in a democracy, the majority view of what the public interest issues are is what is going to carry. critical thing is that those who lead this process must ensure that the minority concerns have been taken on board. And that's why this is a healthy conversation. And I think that is something that should distill what is key to be factored into the process.
A final point before I let you go. Key to this whole conversation is empathy. Key to this whole conversation is empathy. And the bill, in one hand, asks people to report known homosexuals or those who engage, that is if it's passed into law. It asks parents to put out their children. It asks a brother or a sister to out their family member. There is no haven, no shelter for LGBTQ people. If there is no compassion, no empathy, then it doesn't consider the rights of these minority groups at all.
Okay, so let me start by saying that, as I've said earlier, I mean, the issue about whether this is a fundamental human right is one we dispute. And it's why I said there's no genetic basis for this. It's a practice, and we need to help them. Now, from our quarters, we have done a lot to try and ensure. In fact, as it is, we are already supporting people who are under those conditions to see how they can improve their economic status and come out of it. And that's why you had an Aaron sharing his experience yesterday. I don't know when you say there's no compassion, no empathy. That's a very sweeping statement. Because
but if you ask a parent to...
can I learn?
Yes, but if you ask parents... but if you ask parents and family members to report their people, then why is the empathy there?
No, it's not about parents having to report. I mean, that then begins to have a misunderstanding of the law. Criminal activity, whether it is stealing, and don't forget Section 104 of our Criminal Code 1960 is still on the books. And so citizens, by virtue of their obligations under Article 41, are required, when you see such things, to report them. That's just a standard thing. Now, if we are saying that we want to create a variation because we anticipate that it may be difficult because of some circumstances, that potentially is a discussion to be held. But don't say that there's no empathy because the standard law says that when you see a crime, report it. And that's what you are reflecting. So let's not confuse the issues in the context. I think that if there are recommendations to be made because we envisage some challenges, let's make those recommendations. And I think that for all of us who see these as our brothers and sisters, we will be working to ensure that we can comfortably support them and assist them to make sure that moving ahead, they are even much better off than they were in the past.
How do you know a person like...
I have to run away.
Yes, just a final one. How do you know...
They were expecting me 7 minutes ago.
How do you know that somebody like Aaron will not return to his homosexual ways? How do you know?
I'm not quite sure why that is a question for me to answer. I mean, I can't tell, and I don't know I don't know what value I'm supposed to bring to that question. Is there a specific reason you're asking that question?
Well, we can't be sure if really he says he's no more a homosexual and maybe he doesn't keep up. How about that?
Well, I'm not quite sure what value it brings to the discussion. What it is that public policy emanates from a social context. And at the moment, this is where we find ourselves. And it's not just Ghana. Africa has a minimum of 80% on average of Africans say they don't accept this practice. In West Africa, Senegal has 98% of the population, Liberia 95% of the population. So it's nothing new. It is our context from where we have come. If at a certain point in the future of the history of this country, say 50 years from now, we have a different position, that is what it will be. But from a democratic perspective, I mean, all of us are Democrats. We need to provide a space for dissenting voices to be heard, for their concerns to be taken on board, to embrace them as brothers and sisters. And I think that that is what we should focus on at this stage.
Many thanks to you. Edem Senanu is with the Advocates for Christ there, bringing us those perspectives. But before we come back fully to the studios, let's hear from the Church of Pentecost. This week, they mobilized not just the pastors, but various groups within the church to present their memoranda to Parliament. Apostle Nyameche heads the Church of Pentecost.
The Church of Pentecost is over 3.1 million, about 10.38% of the Ghanaian population. And we have brought in 15,000 signatories. I believe that this is significant enough. If they give us time, we can even bring 2 million. Yeah, just to make the statement that this bill, we support it 100%. And so we are praying for the parliamentarians to make good arguments. They should know that there's a creation. This is a sovereign state, but the whole world is a sovereign state with a ruler. And then the one who created us reserves the right to tell us how to behave. If we leave the right to behavior in the hands of the creation, then soon every lifestyle will be shielded by law till we have some anarchy state, lawlessness in this nation. Now, if we want to have sex with a beast, they say it's okay. If I want to have sex with a pig, it's okay. If I want to marry my daughter, it's okay. If I want to have sex with a tree, it's okay. I mean, so where are we going? So the issue is not about rights. The issue is about morality. What is right and what is wrong. Having said that, we don't hate LGBTQ people, not at all. And we are not saying that they are not human, but we hate their deeds because it is evil. What this LGBTQ seeks to do is to extinct the human population. Soon there will be no multiplication because people are not marrying the opposite sex. Then who do you want to produce a child for you to come and adopt? If your lifestyle does not produce human beings, when God says we should be fruitful and multiply, human beings are needed on this earth to manage the earth. Now, when we extinct them, then we are extincting the world. Yeah, we get to the street, and our numbers come out, and you see us, and you can still pass something against this bill. Then you have done well. But we are going to cause our people to come on the street, and we are going to warn any government that if you vote against this bill, we will vote you out. And that is it. There's no room for neutrality. No, it's not political. It is not political. Ghana is not, what I'm saying is not political. It's about the future of the nation. Anyone who wants to destroy this nation, we will not allow you to rule us. That is it.
Well, I guess the battle lines are drawn there. Let's turn now to Honorable Kwemka. So politicians, you are in the hot seat. They've asked MPs to declare their stance. They want an open vote to see who is voting for this bill or against. If the government doesn't pass it, they will vote the government out. Is this political blackmail?
Well, you may give it a name, but I have an opinion on the matter. You see, Jifa, as I told you earlier, one of the persons that motivated me to read law has been Mr. Akutu Ampao, growing up. But I disagree with him on this one. You see, law operates within a certain framework, and society for that matter. Society shapes law. Otherwise, unbridled application of law and rights without society will lead to absurdity. I heard a brother, he gave a perspective to science. He did too. My position is that it is not the genetic make of a person that is being criminalized, but the conduct. It is the conduct that is being sought to be criminalized, but not the genetic make of the persons. You see, if you look at our law, Jifa, if you read Article 11 and Article 39 of our Constitution, 11 tells us that among the sources of law, we have customary law. 39, which is under the directive principles of state policy, is talking about the need for the state to take steps to absorb and practice and promote cultural practices to the extent that they are not unconstitutional. Now, the moral fiber of our society cannot be isolated from the rights that we enjoy. If we do isolate them, then we will run to a very difficult situation where we will not be able to, as a people, differentiate one from the other. I say this because what is a law if it is not meant for the good of man? Laws are generally meant to regulate mankind's behavior and attitudes. If you make a choice to be a gay, and we say that we should respect that right of yours, somebody decides that his choice as a woman is that he wants to have sex with his son. That's the person's right. Or the man says, my choice is that I want to be sleeping with my daughter. So that is my right. Allow me. Somebody says, my right is that I want to ensure that my entire family changes their genetic make to a certain sex. It's their right. Let's allow them. Where are we going? You see, look at our cultural dynamics. Situate this within the context of our culture here, and look at the context of LGBTQ, whatever you call it, in the West, and make a comparison of the two. But the two societies, I want to beg to state this, are different from each other. You see,
but Honorable Pemka,
we are bold enough.
You're saying it as if we've never
I'm coming there.
No, just a quick one, because it relates to what you are saying. You're saying it as if we've never had homosexuals in the Ghanaian or African society, and research has documented over centuries that we have had them with us. They've coexisted, they've lived in peace, they've not been targeted, they've not even been specifically identified by the law. So why do we want to do that now and use culture as the conduit or religion as the conduit?
Jifa, I heard you say here clearly that you are an Ewe woman. Which part of Ewe land will people see homosexuals practicing it in the community and not banish them? Where? I have a lot of Ewe friends. I come from the north. Where do we have homosexuals practicing this act, and then the chiefs and people look on and coexist with them? All that you are saying, those people who have practiced it, even if it is over 2,000 years, they do it under the cover of dark. They don't profess it publicly. The danger we are now faced with is that we want to say that it is their right. They should come out, form associations and groups, because there's a constitution that says freedom of association. They should form those groups, exercise their rights. We should recognize it. We shouldn't criminalize it. Yes. As soon as we get to that stage where we don't have any law to regulate it, and we say they should enjoy their rights, and they peak, P-E-A-K, they peak, we can have a situation in our society where there will be total crisis and chaos.
Oh, Honorable Pemka, the recent population and housing census indicated that Ghana's population growth grew by 6 million and more over 10 years. I don't think we have a risk of extinction, do we?
My goodness, my goodness. This advocacy we have now, have we had that in the past? No, because there was nothing of this sort. The level of pushing they are making, to the extent of making efforts to open an office. We should go and allow every individual to open offices and advocate their rights, because it's within their rights. I have told you.
I'm not advocating that they should advocate for themselves. But
I have told you that our constitution says that we should recognize customary laws and practices. I am saying there is no customary practice or law in Ghana that allows for homosexuality to be practiced. There is no society in Ghana, not one,
you didn't
that recognizes and protects homosexuality. There is none.
Okay, you didn't answer my earlier question about the politicians. The reverends have thrown a challenge to the politicians. You're one. It's true, you're not in parliament, but
the threat for me is over the bar. You don't blackmail
or hold the country
to lobby
or hold the political team
to make your opinion clear that let my side of the debate be the victor or suffer political consequences. That's blackmail. That's not what we're saying. For me, I don't support LGBTQ. I don't support it. Today I don't. Tomorrow I will not. Because it does not fit into the cultural hegemony within which I grew up. And I'm not ready to adapt to it because it is alien to us. That is the point. Look, you see, if we want to talk about rights, and we talk about rights to be enjoyed without limitations, we will run into a certain difficulty that we cannot extricate ourselves from. Because, you see, I have already stated that society grows with history at the back of its mind. Look, I am running away from bringing in religion because my learned senior will categorically tell you that, look, if you are arguing that you are a Christian and Ghana is a secular state, then what are you talking about? Those who do not believe in religion at all. Are you excluding them? And that would be a good point to make. But I am looking at generally our norms and values. Are our norms and values accommodating these practices or tolerating these practices? Or these practices are alien to us? If they are alien to us, how are we going to have them to influence our culture without destroying the very basic fiber and cultural nuances that hold us together as a people?
Okay. All right, so let's just take a quick break, and when we come back, I've seen that Kutampa has been writing copiously. He will address all those issues for us, but just know that you're still here with us on Key Points. You can send us your messages. You can tweet at me at Beho Bampo. You can also send your thoughts to our WhatsApp line 055-369-8789. A quick break and we'll be right back.
Our aim is to touch lives in many forms. We go in depth as we focus on true life stories.
Life became pathetic. We ran short of food and water. Indeed, we were looking for death. Death has also rejected us. It was like God has also rejected us. So nothing wanted us.
What's new in the trends as we look at fashion, entertainment, cuisine, games, and more?
Check your body type before you go in for some matters.
So in every aspect of our relationship, you find it funny, right?
Yeah.
Even during...
Sex is their food. We have the watermelon type, the apple type, the...
Which one am I?
Pawpaw. I have the pawpaw type. That goes this way.
Okay. Just stay connected with me on all platforms. Oh, and share that story to be heard by simply reaching out to us on all our social media platforms with the hashtag The Day Show. My guests and I look forward to a date with you this and every Thursday at 9 p.m. as we keep it real, positive, and fun. Time with Bellamundi on The Day Show is an encounter right here on TV3. The Day Show with Brella Mundi now shows on Thursdays at 9 p.m. and repeats on Saturdays at 3 p.m. on TV3.
This Saturday on Celebrity Fun Time.
You are welcome once again. This is Celebrity Fun Time, the only game show that makes all other game shows look bad, look boring, look and clear. But I had the feel game show. Hey, guy, yes. 3GY.
3GY. 3GY. Who is Y? 3GY. 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 You are supposed to be here.
Celebrity Fun Time this Saturday, 5 p.m. on TV3. Betway.
Who wants to be the next gospel star? CJ Multimedia, in collaboration with TV3, present The Next Gospel Star Season 2. The Next Gospel Star, the only strictly gospel talent hunt show in Ghana, is back on your screens again with The Next Gospel Star Season 2. The 20 contestants ready to do battle for the 13-week gospel reality show are Becky, Entry, Afi, Gloria, Nesta, Portia, Matilda, Saratu, Cosmos, Tandy, Happy, Na, Precious, Judith, Akurugu, Clark, Joe, Ejewa, Stefan, and Francis. Who wins the ultimate prize of 10,000 Ghana cedis plus an all-expense-paid trip to Dubai and pocket money? That's not all. A recording contract also awaits the ultimate winner of the Next Gospel Star Season 2. To vote for your favorite contestant, dial *365*300# and enter the name of the contestant. You can also log on to www.cjtv.com.gh and vote. The Next Gospel Star is brought to you kind courtesy CJ Multimedia and Joe's Place Guest House and Event Center, West Hill City, Accra, and is supported by The Next Gospel Star. The Next Gospel Star, starting Sunday 10th October at 4 p.m. on TV3.
It's another weekend to enjoy your TV3. Let's start unveiling this Friday on Showbiz 360 with the hysterical Giovanni Caleb. Saturday morning, it's all sporty and fun on Warmer Plus. The ladies will take you to the next level on Ladies Circle. And on Saturday night, we're jamming with the original King Yisoba. Finally, on Sunday, TV3 Mentor returns. It's the first episode of Mentorex, and it's big. Keep watching TV3, first in news, best in entertainment.
You're welcome back to the key points, and we're discussing criminalizing LGBTQ, and this is in reference to the memorandums that have been submitted the entire week, either for or against the promotion of proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill 2021. Yes, Mr. Koto-Ampao, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, a lot has been said, both by my good friend and colleague Joseph Penka and
Adam
Senano. Now, I want to emphasize the point that democracy is not the same as majoritarianism. Yes, democracy involves the majority rule or majority rule, but it also very critically involves protection of the minority. So whilst the majority generally will have their say, they cannot wipe away the existence of the minority. And that is why the Constitution carves out a certain space of individual rights that nobody, whether you are in the majority or in the minority, can invade. That is, so the majority cannot say that because we are the majority, there should be no freedom of speech. Or because we are the majority, it is only this religion that must be practiced in Ghana. And because of that, the Constitution in Article 21(1), as you very well know, protects the right to freedom of expression and speech. And it's only subject not to the majority opinion, but subject to the public interest and the rights and freedoms of other individuals. That is the thing. So I think it is quite misconceived for people to think that this issue we are debating has to do with numbers, that whether the overwhelming majority of Ghanaians do not like homosexualism. That is fine. It may be their case, and because they have the majority, and because they also have churches and mosques and other religious organizations that do not believe or that are against homosexuals, they can preach that view as education, religious education, among their majority congregations, so that they may not be infected by LGBTQ so-called propaganda or advocacy. Now, I think it is quite significant that notwithstanding all the churches and mosques we have across the country who are doing 24-hour a day, sometimes services, they see that there's this problem. Is it because they have failed in their education of their flock? Is it because they have failed in inculcating the values that their beliefs promote, that they now want to go to the state to stamp it down? And that they now want to go to the state to stamp down a small group that are advocating for their rights? I think that it is clearly, in my view, an admission of their failure.
But Mr. Kotampa, of all the references to rights, there's no reference to sexual rights in the Constitution,
yes,
for instance.
Yes.
International charters, yes. But to the extent that sexual rights are not mentioned, it presupposes that that is not what is considered a right. That's why the anti-LGBTQ lobby say that it is a lifestyle choice they have made.
Well, let me deal with that in a number of ways. The first point that I want to make is that the Constitution protects every individual, whether you are LGBT or not. And if you are a human being, the Constitution says that your humanity should not be it's invaluable. You cannot demonize the person's humanity.
15.
Yes, it's very clear on that. So even if you say that the Constitution does not mention sex, the Constitution in Article, is it 33(4), states very clearly that the fundamental rights specifically mentioned in the Constitution do not exhaust the whole space of fundamental rights that are considered rights in a free and democratic society. So the Constitution itself recognizes that it is simply not the case that it is only the rights mentioned in the Constitution that are fundamental rights. The second aspect of that argument is that, you see, it is being said that it is law comes from the people, law is informed by the social context, and law is informed by cultural values. That is true to only an extent under our Constitution. Why do I say so? When you go to Article 26(1), it reads, every person is entitled to enjoy, practice, profess, maintain, and promote any culture, language, tradition, or religion, subject to the provisions of the Constitution. So again, the Constitution subjects culture, cultural values, and so on to the to the provisions of the Constitution. So you can't say that because A, B, C, D are part of our values, and we are different from Britain, which is true, or the US, therefore we are free under our Constitution to do what we want. The Constitution says that all these values are subject to the provisions of the Constitution. So you need to check whether the values that our people have about LGBTQ, which makes them hate them, and which leads to the lobby to have their lifestyle, if you wish, or their identity criminalized, can be defended under the Constitution. I think that it is very clear that it cannot be defended under the Constitution.
But to be fair to the Church of Pentecost, when I read their memoranda, they did make some recommendations because they have concerns about some clauses that have the capacity to overstep bounds. So for instance, clause 5 in the proposed bill, where people are asked to report gay people, they feel that this will create an atmosphere of hysteria, an aspect which, you know, could create crisis in the country. So they want that looked at. The clause that for those who may advocate for LGBTQ, the punishment of a proposed 5 to 10 years will stifle debates and views, and so for that needs to be looked at in terms of the punitive measure. They feel, however, there is the potential for propaganda, where you would have imagery that is consistently putting out information that could then impact impressionable young minds like children. And so there must be something that deals with that. They also refer to considerations about criminalizing those who fund LGBTQ people, and they want at least those aspects in the bill to be revised.
Well, from where I sit, this bill cannot be revised in such a way as to be acceptable within the framework of the principles of our Constitution.
Why?
Why? Because the bill effectively violates almost every right guaranteed under the Constitution. It violates the right to freedom of association. It violates the right to equality before the law. It violates the right to protection as a minority. It violates the right of freedom to organize, your right to organize. It violates your right to privacy. It violates all those rights under the Constitution. And therefore, it is so endemic with its constitutional violations that it cannot be amended. It cannot be revised. And it cannot be revised because of the framework of mind that produced this thing. That framework takes the view that if you are homosexual, you are inhuman. And, you know, it's a taboo also. And they quote from the National House of Chiefs that homosexuality is a taboo and inhuman in our custom and values. But that may well be true. The issue is that our Constitution says that these values and customary practices and beliefs are subject to the protections given to individuals and minorities and majorities under the Constitution. So you can't use culture or cultural values as a basis for violating the rights guaranteed for all of us under the Constitution. This law criminalizes association by homosexuals. It criminalizes their right to demonstrate. It criminalizes their right to speak about who they are through any medium. It criminalizes
it criminalizes anyone who also tries to speak and support them. And those who may want to give them compassion by housing them.
It virtually suggests that they should not be housed. That is what the law is saying, that you can't, unless they have their own houses, even a landlord cannot house them if he knows that they are homosexual and so on. So what are you trying to do? You are effectively driving them out of the society, which is consistent with what Adam said earlier on, that this thing, they can use social therapy, you know, conversion therapy to change them, and those who don't want to change, since it's a lifestyle, then they must face the law. It is targeting a certain very tiny minority in our society and establishing rules that make their life as social beings a nightmare, a living nightmare. And it needs to be insisted that it is a fallacy to say that you are trying to protect children against, for instance, being defiled by homosexuals, you know. Because if it's a matter of defilement, it should apply whether you are heterosexual or homosexual. And if we think that the law doesn't make enough provision there, it is very easy to, you know, amend those portions of the criminal code which deal with defilement to protect children, to make it very explicit that whether you are heterosexual or homosexual and you defile a child, it is an offense. Now, why is it the case that the law seems to suggest that the tendency among homosexuals to defile children, that is very high? Because the law seems to equate pedophilia with homosexuality, when the evidence that is available to us suggests that most of the defilements that we have are heterosexual. That is a man defiling a child, a girl, or a woman defiling a child boy. And yet the law makes it look like the biggest danger to the protection of children is from the homosexuals. So I don't think that, given the nature of the violations and the framework of the bill as it stands now, it can be meaningfully amended. If anything at all, the bill has to be set aside, and then they can come up with something new. And let me end by making the point that at least we are not making a case for the law to legalize marriage among homosexuals. So it's a red herring. It's a total red herring in this situation. And it cannot be used to make a case for this bill. And finally, let me say that it is extremely speculative and scaremongering to suggest that without this law, in the near or distant future, you know, the human species would disappear because there would be no reproduction of life. I think it is It is just sheer scaremongering, because we all know that it doesn't happen. We all know that in other countries they are not experiencing this problem because homosexuals are recognized and accepted as, citizens with rights in those countries, All
right. Honorable Pemka. That's a deep breath.
Ifa, I have listened carefully once again to my learned senior, but I keep repeating myself and shouting at the top of the roof that, yes, as he's indicated, he did make a concession that those rights are enjoyed within a certain context, society, fit into a certain societal norm that we have created for ourselves over period. Right. In Ghana, as we speak, he spoke about majoritarian dictatorship, where we want to say that because the overwhelming majority of Ghanaians are against homosexuality, it ought to go, and that we are not looking at the minority rights.
A law has to be passed.
Yes, a law has to be passed, and we are not looking at minority rights and etc. You see, why are laws made? Over period, we should have had maybe just the Constitution. We didn't even make any legislation anymore. But why are we making laws every day? Statutes, LIs, CIs, executive instruments. Why? Laws are made to respond to specific situations in life. When you have a lacuna created over time as a result of practice, then you want to make a law to fill in that lacuna.
But the lacuna you may be referring to, isn't that also just an excuse? So some people opened a center to house or to provide a safe haven for LGBTQ people. The Honorable Sam George himself says the reason he's pushed it is as a result of that one event. So using the opening of a center because people are associating to create a bill against them seems like a bit stretching the lacuna.
No, the point is that society says that at this point in time, this conduct or act is abhorrent. It is against good conscience. It is unacceptable. It touches the very existence of our people, the core of our people. It touches society at the heart. So at this particular moment, we do not like it. Therefore, we are criminalizing it. So we are criminalizing it, and as you indicated, there was a reason why they put even in their bill the provision that says that those who fund it ought to suffer some penalties. When you go and then you imprison a terrorist or you attack a terrorist and fail to attack the funding source, terrorism will continue forever. I think that was the purpose for it, but it's far-reaching. So you have to look at other ways of ensuring that you balance it in a manner as to allow society to move on.
But what about the real risk of people attacking people? Because just we are learning yesterday or so.
If you do attack, the law will take its course.
How do we know? We've seen more injustice. They've not arrested anyone.
If you go and attack somebody, assault has not gone off our law books. If the person is even committing an offense in your presence, unless the person engages in a violent conduct that you can reply with equal violence in order to suppress the situation, if the person is engaged in unlawful conduct, your duty as a citizen, you can effect citizen arrest and hand over the person to police. But lynching and beatings and those things are not part of our law and must not be tolerated. But I'm saying that if the law is passed by Parliament and it becomes unlawful to engage in LGBTQ+, and you engage in it, you will be arrested, processed, and prosecuted. And if found guilty, you'll be punished. Those are processes, just like armed robbers are arrested every day. thieves are arrested every day. If you cause harm, you are arrested. So the same processes will be followed for us to arrive at those kind of things that we desire.
Okay.
But
just you need to wrap up, then I'll give Mr. Akoto the final word.
What I would therefore say is that, for me, Parliament should scrutinize the law, fine-tune it well to meet existing exigencies, so that we will make the law to fit in all facets of our Constitution. But remember that nothing prevents anybody, after the law is passed, from invoking the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to make a declaration that, to the extent that that law sins against a provision of the Constitution, the Supreme Court should declare it unconstitutional. Nothing prevents anybody. Anybody can try that challenge and go through that route. And if the Supreme Court makes a definite pronouncement on this matter, it will serve as a guide.
All right. Mr. Akoto-Ampao, final words from you, please.
I think that it is totally out of place to equate terrorism or stealing or robbery or obviously acts that directly harm the public interest or the rights of other individuals, to equate those conducts that are criminalized to the activity of two consenting adults, their relationship as human beings. So I don't think that that comparison is appropriate. Again, I think it is, if you read the bill, it criminalizes every aspect of the lives of homosexuals. And then at the end, it gives some hypocritical protection. Because even if you look at the punishment regime, the maximum punishment that a person who attacks a homosexual will get is 1 year. And you say you are protecting them when you everything in the bill is saying that these people are an abomination, they are inhuman, and so on. When you are actually, inciting the population against them, and then you have this token protection against mob action and lynching. It is not meant to be taken seriously.
Okay. Unfortunately, that's where time will allow us. Thank you very much to Mr. Akoto-Ampao, senior lawyer, joining us this morning. Many thanks to the Honorable Kpemka, former Deputy Attorney General and former Member of Parliament. Thanks to Edem Senanu as well, Advocates for Christ, who joined us. Unfortunately, we couldn't reach Reverend Professor Frimpong Manso, but this topic is not going anywhere anytime soon, and certainly we'll be back with it. You've been watching Key Points live from TV3 and 3FM 92.7. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your messages as well. Join us again next week for another interesting edition. Up next is Warm Up Plus. Thank you.